All right, everybody, welcome on in. We are live. It's 7 a.m. right on the dot. We are live on screen. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, that is high quality, high effort streaming from your friend Mike from PA. And I gotta tell you, chat, I'm not even feeling that good, but it doesn't matter because I have something that everyone else doesn't have: determination. And one of the things I love about being Scottish is that we are motivated by spite. If we feel like we've been wronged, we're like dwarves. We open up the grudge book and we scrawl in all the insults and all the slights, and we just stay mad. Oh, you're Scottish? Let's see a log toss then. I am not very good at the log toss, I'll be honest. To be honest. Like, I know you become more and more of a boomer every day just because you, like my grandpa, begin to reference his ethnicity more and more as he got old. Well, because it's obviously true, and so I mean, like, come on. It's like saying Scottish people are drunkard. You know, the thing is, we have that kind of like we have that kind but not nice. Kind but not nice. That's how we are. Okay. I gotta clean off the cars after we got some snow last night. Oh, here we go. Cars now. This motherfucker has got multiple. He moves to China. And now he's got 2 cars. This was a broke boy saddled by debt. He moves to China and now he's getting multiple cars. All right, chat. This is the idea I want to do. Listen, I've loved the opening music playlists over the years, and it has been fun. And I'm not saying we're going to completely eliminate it, but I've been thinking, what if during the opening we played the most recent YouTube video? I'm realizing that I've got to get my YouTube, flowing. I got to get my YouTube growing. And, maybe we could set some like goals. Maybe we could set some view goals. We want to make sure that people are reminded. People are like, doesn't that take away views? That's possible. I got recommended one of your videos today. I clicked it and watched the whole thing. Did you click like? Did you comment? Make sure that you're in. And by the way, chat, if you could do me a favor, when you comment, instead of saying comment for the algorithm, which YouTube does not like that, something about the video. Say something about the video, even if it's just, riffing off the title. Okay. Thank you. That's just the tip. That's just a pro tip. Yeah, you're popping more on YouTube. Yeah, I know. I'm trying. I really am. FYI, Hassan said that dual streaming mostly split his audience. Yeah, that's what I kind of figured would happen. See, like, do you notice how like Hassan had 20K on YouTube? That's exactly what I predicted would happen on the day that he streamed when he was banned. The fact that he was banned and he was doing something about he was at the protest, it was like a super high view day. So, but now that we're back to like a more normal, streams. Also, and I don't say this to disagree with Hassan or anything, but just to point out, chatters are parasocial. If you're doing content where you're not talking to the chat, they get mad and they like, people leave. Even if the content is like better than the normal content, it's very fucking weird. So you're constantly balancing like, okay, do I want to do this content that's like really good and interesting versus do I want to have people leave? Every time I checked, he was up to like 50K total, which is higher than he's been. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think on net he had a bigger audience, but it's, the way Twitch works is it's like, if your number isn't going up, then people are fucking annoying as fuck. Do I use any products for my hair and beard? I use some for my hair. I need to use more though. That's really what I need to be doing. I know his hand was bad. Yeah. Anyway, welcome on in, everybody. We are in, what day are we? Is this day 14 in a row? How many days in a row have we been going? I'd have to check, but I'm liking the new old schedule. I used to stream 7 days a week, chat. 2021, 7 days a week. 7 days a week. Now, I don't want to go 7 days a week, to be honest with you. I've been trying to I've tried to do this thing where it's like, if I hit certain numbers during the week, maybe I could take like Saturday off, but if my numbers during the week are like not quite hitting the goal, I feel like I need to stream more, It's not for anything in specific. It's just like kind of a mental goal making, you know what I'm saying, chat? You want to keep those goals being made. All right, so what are we talking about today? The funniest shit happened. So Emiru scandal is growing more. Like, honestly, it feels like woke is back. Everybody is shitting on Emiru. Like, woke is back at a, like, I'm seeing people I've never seen popping off on Emiru. Like, the backlash against Emiru is fucking crazy. I haven't heard shit about it. Is this just a slop stream now? No, this is actually really important. JD Vance and Javier Milei are now retweeting Asmongold. You know, the president of Argentina and the vice president of the United States. I'm sorry, is that slop? You know, they went on Aiden Ross's stream and XQC's stream. Like, is it propaganda? Is it slop to cover my own platform's politics? Like, is that slop? Or are you fucking boomer? And you got psyoped by some mod who gets mad that the content isn't what they want it to be on a specific day and it's wrong about politics. You know what I mean? When the pigs run the country, covering the news is going to be muddy. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, internet is real life. The internet is real life. You just need to accept that fact. And the dumb fucking morons that we hate are now relevant to politics, which is also kind of good news because it means I'm more relevant for politics. It means Hassan's more relevant for politics. And that's actually how we get out of this mess. We actually get Adam out of this mess is if people like me and Hassan have more influence. And she tried to do this like apolitical Andy shit and it just flopped. It just flopped. And it was like embarrassing. People are fed up with the like fascist, the apolitical. Oh, I'm apolitical, but I only yell about left wingers. They see through that shit now. Mike, have you heard this new song by our #1 MAGA musician? What the fuck?
Kirk was a Nazi, then they celebrated after they killed him. They tried to tell us that Black Lives Matter and that white people have always been villains. They burning flags in the streets and they scream at police, taking illegals to prison. They got rainbows on their bedroom walls and they swear to God that men can be women. They're scrolling through their TikToks to get the news. They heard that Trump's a
Blake 1488. Yoink! If you're the chatter that I stole that from, jump in the replies and say, stolen joke. The chat's joke. I don't know who deserves credit for that, but it was a chatter in Hassan's chat last night. You stole from someone else and then you're saying yoink? What are you, an American? Do I follow this person already?
Right? But it's like, if you need a streamer who doesn't even know anything about politics to tell you about politics, you probably... Like, there's a certain extent where I'm like, okay, sure, I get people wanting big content creators to, like, say their opinions on, like, important topics. I get that, right? But it's like, if you need a streamer who doesn't even know anything about politics to tell you about politics, you probably just need to, like, get off the internet, like, just stop. Like,
or if you're a 28-year-old woman who lives in the United States of America and you don't know anything about politics, maybe you should get off the internet and pick up a book. When people ask their favorite streamers or content creators to talk about the current political climate, things that are happening in this country or in the world, they're not asking you to create a PowerPoint presentation or present a whole dissertation. They're asking where your ethical and moral values lie. When people are asking you to talk about ICE, they're not asking you to create a whole research project on when it was formed, who serves on their board of operations. They're asking you to talk about the shit that's happening recently with ICE killing US citizens and detaining people. If other streamers, video game streamers who are in the same circle as you were able to speak up against ICE, what's your excuse? I promise you that no one is looking to you as a political news source. They just want to make sure that you aren't aligning yourself with state violence and fascism. And your viewers have a right to know that. Viewers of any streamer, of content creators, especially if they send you money, they have a right to know what your political views are. If I found out that my favorite actors, actresses, content creators supported Trump, supported Zionism, supported state violence and ICE, I wouldn't want to support them. And while you may have avoided directly answering that question, you already gave away where you stand, which is unsurprising considering the kind of people you're friends with. But circling back to my first point, if you are an adult, if you are someone who votes and pays taxes, and you claim to not know anything about politics, maybe you need to change that. It is not a flex to be misinformed. It is not a flex to be politically illiterate, especially in the country that you're living.
Actually, it's very important that she's totally right about this, but it goes even further. This is actually a fascist tactic. They know that they can't persuade people with sound argument. All they could do is intimidate people and disconcert people so that, you know, a lot of soft-hearted people go, well, I just don't care about politics because it's so, you know, it's so painful to look at politics, and it's the easy way out. And it helps fascists continue to exist because they're not getting any shit. When Asmongold says, I want to kill these people that are protesting ICE, and then Emiru raids him and games with him and promotes him, she is promoting fascism by promoting him. It'd be one thing if that entire group was completely apolitical and said nothing about politics. Nobody would fucking care. But she's actively propping up, supporting, hanging out with, befriending, I guess dating maybe is the rumor. I don't know. I don't think that's actually happening. I mean, it's like a Discord kitten shit, not actual dating. Nobody wants to date that motherfucker. Like, he's disgusting. Like, imagine the, oh God, never mind. I'm not even gonna get into it, but the infections that he's brewing on his skin. And it's like, the reason why people are like, what do you support? Because they realize that we live in a world right now where being on the sidelines is not viable. Being on the sidelines is not viable anymore. And they don't want to be supporting anybody who supports ICE. So if you refuse to say shit, people are going to assume that you support ICE, because that's the only, like, why wouldn't you say it's wrong if you have any moral compass? So you must support it. You're just afraid to say anything because the vast majority of people are against it, and you're being a coward. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to support that kind of shit. I don't want to support fascism. And if we're wrong, come out and say so. Should people also not be critical of Esfon, though? He's from the same group, and I don't know his stance on this stuff either. God, that's such a good point. That's such a good point. Did I murder it? Did I delete this? I may have deleted the clip. Basically, I had a clip where I said Esfan is right wing. Like years and years and years and years and years and years ago. I have been the S-fan is a closeted chud for 5 fucking years. So you're only preaching to the choir here. How is he right wing? The entire WoW Classic movement was steeped in pro-Trump rhetoric, memes. He had a giant Trump cutout behind him, and he never said anything negative about Trump or the Republican Party at any point. I'm not saying everybody who plays WoW is right wing. I'm saying that the WoW Classic movement that he helmed was completely full of pro-Trump shit, and it was fucking weird. Make Azeroth great again, etc., etc., etc. S-Fan said that Stay Safe TV / Matt Morse isn't enough. Yeah, Stay Safe TV, literally SS TV, like, was a close friend of his. It's like, come on. And I'm not even trying to attack WoW players. I think there's plenty of WoW players that are not like Asmongold. But S-Fan is not one of them. He is, and he's in the same org, and he's been, like, you know what I mean? They've been allies for years and years and years and years. And he, again, has he said anything? Nick hasn't said anything either. Yeah, that's pretty bad, huh? I knew S-Fan was right wing when he said Colin Kaepernick wasn't good enough as a QB. That's why he didn't get a new contract. Oh yeah. There are like 5 good quarterbacks in the league at any one point. You're like, yep, Colin Kaepernick, he was really bad. Anyway, it is what it is. Don't distract me from making fun of Emiru, because the reality is, bro, your friends are all fucking pedophiles and sex criminals. What does that say about you? I mean, listen, any of us could have a single friend who was a freak, who did shit that we didn't know about, and you find out about it and you distance yourself from the person and you say, hey, I don't support that. That's gross. Like, for example, that happened with Law Overruled, right? Lalo Overruled. He was acting weird toward women, and he got excommunicated immediately. We denounced him. We weren't quiet about it. We said, this guy's fucking weird toward women. And that is the reality. I bet it's all the terrorist apologist streamers. Terrorist apologist? Who's the terrorist apologist? Anybody who supports the American military in Israel? We talked about the Contras yesterday, and they did 1,300 terrorist attacks. And the daughter of one of their leaders is now a liberal darling. Who are we kidding with this terrorism garbage? Who are we kidding? This is also why, and this is very important, don't let your enemy tell you what not to do. Don't let your enemy tell you what is a bad strategy or what is a good strategy. Oftentimes they're telling you not to do something that works really well. I hate your movement, but let me give you advice on how your movement can win. I just followed Emmy, never watched her before. Damn, that's pretty dickless of you. Sounds like the typical Asmon fan. Also, I don't believe you, obviously. So this is a funny fucking, speaking of Asmongold, this is a funny as fuck clip that I saw, which is this shows you how much of a dumb pussy Asmongold is as an individual.
Seemingly being botted much more heavily. Yes. Don't want to start a witch hunt, but
this is Asmongold's viewers. So Twitch bans bots. Odd. What happened? 7K viewers, 9K viewers. What happened? Hey. Ooh.
Data is interesting. Go see for yourself.
I did that.
And then links Twitch tracker, which you can see for yourself. And people are scrubbing through with a fine-tooth comb, taking a peek at these big drops in viewer numbers. And right now, the findings are still pretty early because this has only been in effect for like
you only have 3 days, 2 days. There's not enough data points to really draw a consensus, you know, for like where things are going or where they are. But he's right.
Maybe 3 days now. So it's still like very fresh data. This shit's straight out of the oven. But people are noticing that some of the biggest channels being hit were affiliated with orgs. So like XQC mentions, like some org-affiliated channels were, in a lot of cases, the recipients of some artificially boosted numbers, as evident by a huge drop in viewer numbers.
Oh, Charlie, you're such a pussy. Just say the names. Just say who it is. Just say it. Just say the number went down. That doesn't mean that they did it. Just say the number. Like, why is he... Just do it. Is this the reason why people like him and hate me? It's because I'm the one that's the asshole?
Over the last couple days out of nowhere. Namely, OTK.
So he's whining and bitching. Oh, Charlie's a pussy. He won't say the name. And then Charlie immediately says OTK. He immediately says OTK. So is Asmund going to go, well, I was wrong. It looks like he is not a pussy.
What the fuck? Why would he say me? I hate this guy. Oh my god. What a fucking asshole, bro. Like, you gonna call me out like that on the video? What a dick.
Huge drop across the board for most of the channels that have gone live over the last couple days.
This is bullshit, man.
Another channel people have been paying very close attention to is Asmongold's. He's one of the biggest...
I love how he was accurate in not categorizing me with OTK. Good one.
Streamers in the world, seemingly being botted much more heavily.
Fucking owned. Completely fucking owned. You know, Moist Critical is an example of someone that I've been very critical of over the years, but who's now stepping up into manhood and, you know, going, hey, I've tried to be apolitical in the past, but I just can't be apolitical anymore. I gotta tell you how I feel. And I may not agree with him on everything. I think he's got uninformed takes about a lot of shit, but at least he's standing on business. At least he can see the way the wind, like, you know how a lot of people talk about content creators as windsocks? And I agree, that's kind of lame. But you know what's more lame? Being an absolute pile of shit. At least if somebody's a windsock, they change based on like sentiment. Being a pile of shit who never changes, no matter what evidence is brought before you, is really funny. Lost the debate to a recording. And everybody, so here's the thing about Asmongold. He bots like crazy, as does everybody at OTK. But Asmongold's viewership is also almost, is in a large part, non-American. So you have a lot of bots and a lot of European, Eastern European, you know, incels who don't actually have any connection whatsoever to America and are just LARPing as right-wing Americans. So when you talk about actually politically relevant people in America and compare, say, Hassan to Asmongold, Hassan has him mogged by at least 5 or 6 times. And that's what all the numbers show on in the polls, by the way. I just followed Emmy, Chatter's logs from the Roach's Den. I found the frame where the bullet is in on that slow video. It happens when they all jump. Watch the there is a slowed down video from Green Beret nap time. Watch the officers run before they shoot some of them. The bad guy must have done something. I guess you were justifying the shooting of Alex Preddy. You guys were justifying the shooting of Alex Preddy, who was disarmed and down and not moving and was attacked for no reason, illegally, by the way. Watch the first video again, not the new one from Nick Sorter. It shows agents running for the life before somebody shoots the man. He clearly brandished a weapon. One of the things I learned in law school chat is whenever somebody says clearly, either they immediately drop irrefutable proof, or that is the weakest part of their argument and they're trying to gloss over it by saying clearly. And 9 times out of 10, when they say clearly, it's because they have no evidence for their position, but they need you to believe it in order for it to work. And that was such a moment, you know, that was such a moment of like my bullshit detector being upgraded. Whenever somebody's like, clearly, obviously, it follows, they're trying to skip over some massive logical gap. He's probably erasing his hard drives and burning them. Lakari pedophile. Oh man, guys, we've got a fair-minded centrist who just decided to support Emiru. Hogs are mad at the Olympic team. Oh, are all the incredibly sexy, talented people don't like Trump? Do all the highly athletic, talented, educated, skilled Olympians, not like Trump's dysgenic, fucking degenerate, violent losers. Is that right? Wow, I can't believe it.
It brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think. It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't. If it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S. So yeah, I just kind of want to do it for my friends and my family and the people that support me getting here. It brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think.
Completely owned. Completely fucking owned. And by the way, these are skiers, all right? And, you know, if there's any group of people that is like more likely to be a Republican than the rich as fuck skier guys. But even them, they're like, oh, this is a bad look. Because guess what? Being a skier is also cosmopolitan because you fly around the world. You go around the world on different beautiful mountains. You know, you actually expand your horizons. You know, whether you're skiing in the Rockies or the Alps or you go somewhere new and interesting, like, it's cosmopolitan. You're not going to be a disgusting anti-immigrant fucking weirdo. This is kind of the energy that I have right now, chat. Asman was fighting back against the backlash yesterday. Oh, hell yeah.
They almost banned gambling here? Yeah, it's drama. Yeah, it's big drama.
When did people on the right get so soy? You're
yeah.
smearing and defaming by calling someone a chud.
It's not soy, it's basic human dignity. You shouldn't go and harass people for no reason.
This okay, chat, I want you to know something. They don't believe in it. You don't get it. You don't get to call for basic human dignity when you don't believe in it, Zach. And you're not gonna get it from us. Like you can't say, oh yeah, kill them, put them in concentration camps. Oh God, dignity, please, dignity. Nah. Dignity is for the people that fight for dignity. You don't get to run around. Like, that's the thing about right wingers. See, the problem that we have right now, and we're going to change your mind, is you thought woke one was us being mean because we would say, hey, can you not be an asshole and, you know, like judge someone based on their race? Can you not insult someone just because they're a woman? Like, you thought woke one was bad. We're not doing woke one. You need to study the Cultural Revolution of China. We're not going to. Woke one was our attempt to convince you to be a human being through sound argument and like empathy. We're not doing that anymore. You're done. Study the Cultural Revolution. We'll have you in the corner wearing a dunce cap. Okay. We're not going to be like, this is the least of your concerns. Oh, dignity. The guy who argues for might makes right is calling for basic human dignity. What? Do you not feel strong anymore?
Just because they won't take over your political beliefs. This is what people like Denims do. What they do. I don't want to. Her face is too big on the screen. I don't want to see that. But anyway, yeah, it's just too much. If you go and do that and you're bullying somebody into having a political opinion or talking about something, then what are you really doing?
We're not bullying you. We're separating ourselves from you. It's called the right freedom of assembly. I don't want to hang out with people who justify pedophiles. I don't want to hang out with somebody who supports fucking rape. I don't want to support someone who believes that human beings are not equal based on their race or their national origin or their immigrant status. I don't want to support that, and most normal people don't too. We assumed that you were normal, but you've come out and told us that you're not. Well, now we're taking out the trash, and you're in the bag. And you're like, but wait a minute. I was arguing that you should treat people poorly because they're weak. Why are you treating me poorly? Because you're weak. We're listening to you.
Like, you're saying that you're not with, if you're not with us, you're against us. Like, you're just justifying attacking somebody.
By the way, that comes from the right. That's something George W. Bush said before he bombed a bunch of innocent people, killed 5 million people in the Middle East. The genocide we did called the War on Terror. The fact that we're starving Cubans and we're saying if you trade, I want to trade with Cuba, but I can't. Because if I do, I'll go to prison. They'll take all my money out of my bank account and they'll put me in prison for 20 years. Meanwhile, what did Cuba do? They invented a vaccine that cures lung cancer. A tiny island invented a vaccine that cures lung cancer, and you can't get it in America. Cuba has had a lung cancer vaccine for years, and now it's coming to the U.S. Well, this was under Obama, but it got banned again. That's from 2016. Because Obama was doing normalization of relations with Cuba, and then Biden didn't do that. And that's the reality. The other thing is like, and I want you to understand this, we're not going to be gentle this, like I'm going to be completely honest with you, chat. The more power I get, the harsher I'm going to say you should be toward the right. That's just, I'm not going to like let up. The more power, the more harsh. The more power, the more harsh. That's just the way it's going to be. I don't want to see Nick Fuentes on my screen anymore. I want every single ICE agent who ever in prison. I want everybody who supported them in a fucking facility where we talk through their emotions and they get some help.
No, it tells me everything I need to know about the character of someone who talks about things this way.
Fuck you, capitalist. Your capitalist dogs would have sell you chemo instead.
I don't know why this. I mean, it's intentional ignorance.
What?
But that's okay. It tells me everything I need to know about this person. If you are fine with commenting on things you don't know about when it benefits you, when you know your audience will like you talking about it.
When does she do that?
Well, for a good example of that is she said that Ethan Klein's lawsuits were good. Emiru said Ethan Klein's lawsuits were good, even though she's a fucking worthless React streamer, right? Like, you people, like, all of you react so much worse than every other React streamer. You're like legitimately fucking worthless. Sit in the corner making faces, React streamers, if we're even lucky enough to see you make a face. But she was out there going like, yeah, it's good that Ethan Klein is suing Denims and Frogan. It's good that she's suing Casey Tron. Fuck you. Or he's suing them.
That didn't even happen.
Did she have a law degree that I missed? Did she go to law school and I miss it?
It literally didn't even happen. Like, what do you mean? Oh my God.
That's one thing. But then for you to use an opportunity or ignore an opportunity where you could talk about something, maybe your audience doesn't like it, maybe you could educate them on it a little bit.
Educate them on it. This is my favorite word to see people like her use, because this idea of educate implies some sort of intellectual superiority.
I'm going to help you out, Asmongold. When somebody knows more than you, their knowledge of a thing is superior to you. Now, that superiority isn't innate. They aren't superior by birth. They're innate. They're superior by material conditions. And you can end that superiority by learning. By reading. Like, if I read a book and I know more about a subject than you, I'm superior in my knowledge than you. But if you read that same book and you comprehend it at the same level, then you're now my equal. Isn't that great? You too can become an equal by learning, you fucking subhuman. You are a disgusting fucking worm. And I want you to know, we will have no mercy. There's a new type of left forming, the actual far left. You've never seen us before. You don't even really know about it. I mean, you probably think you do, but you don't. You don't actually.
You are in possession of this, unique knowledge that nobody else has, and I have to bestow upon.
Okay, that's not what education is. What? Asmongold is so scared of reading a book, he thinks knowing anything is like being godlike. Bro, she just read a book or read an article, man. Or she had experiences. And she combines those, like, it's not that hard, brother. It's not that hard.
Like, listen, if you're a video game streamer, the probability that you have to educate your audience on a real...
Bro, that's you! You're saying your entire stream is pointless! He's saying his entire stream is pointless! Why don't you just... yourself by taking a break, retire, listen to yourself. Did my mic cut out? I was saying, why don't you listen to yourself?
World issue is really fucking low. Like, do you really think that all these people that play video games for a living are going to understand politics? What is this?
Not all of us are uneducated. Hassan, myself, Denims, we have college degrees. I ran for office. I worked in the Committee of Urban Affairs. I studied policy for a long time. I was an advocate and I've been an activist for now, 13 fucking years. I know a lot more than you. I went to law school. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, I'm as dumb as you? What have you done in your life? What do you know? You know nothing. In fact, you say learning is, you could just intuit shit. You need to be shut up. Like, yes, you should be silenced. Obviously, you should be silenced. And you say it yourself, you're a disgusting nihilist and you're evil. You say that yourself. And I believe you. I agree with you, honestly. I think you and I both know that I'm the good guy and you're the evil piece of shit that needs to be stopped. Like, you acknowledge that. You're not even quiet about it. You just get pleasure from being a sadist. But it's, it's virtual sadism, Chad. It's from, him and Lakari hanging out, watching some stuff together. He doesn't even have the he doesn't have the wherewithal to even really be out in the world.
But you choose not to, you're just siding with whatever your chud or chudette audience wants to hear.
Who's even to say this? See, isn't it crazy? And the thing that I really hate about this is the fact that it's so many just absolute lies.
I mean, I have almost as many subs as Emiru. Like, think about that. Think about that. How unemployed is her audience? How unemployed is her audience? I mean, maybe she'll get a bunch of gifts and I'll really rue the day. But that's crazy, dude. That's crazy. Even the simps aren't shelling out. I mean, I have more tier 3s than anyone. I don't know anyone who has more tier 3s than me. Does anyone have more tier 3s than me? I think I have the most. I'm currently 75th most subscribed channel in the world on Twitch. 75th. In November, I had 100 tier 3s. My all-time high is 121. I know for a fact I've got more than Asmon. Or what is it? Zach Rar. God, what a... I miss 2002. I do miss 2002. In some ways, I really do miss it. We used to be able to speak freely. 8 tier 3s. Guys, he does not bot. He doesn't bot, guys. There's no botting going on. Only 13 people of the tens of thousands who supposedly watch him decided to give him money. Crazy.
Smears, misrepresentations, assumptions, and just total fucking bad faith arguments. She never talks about politics at all, period.
I have more tier 3s than Moon.
Really? Like, it's insane. How can you hear what's not said? Yeah, it's insane what these people do. And somebody said about the lawsuit, this is the real reason why Denims is mad. The real reason why she's mad is because somebody asked, oh, what do you think about Ethan's lawsuit? And she went and said, yeah, that seems pretty bad to react to a video and say not to watch the original video.
What? Why? What the fuck are you talking about? Who gives a shit? What? That's called critique and criticism. Who gives a shit? I can't believe you reviewed a movie or video game and then said, don't play the video game or don't. That's all you do, you dumb fuck. What? If corporations should be able to sue you for stealing their content because you gave a bad review, you dumb fuck? That's half of what you do, you dumb fuck. God, he's dumber than dirt. And the reason why they obviously they don't have it, they're not consistent and they don't believe in anything. They just think it's not going to happen to them. They just think, oh, the unfair, arbitrary behavior isn't going to happen to me. So I support it happening to other people. This is the low IQ brain worm of every right winger. I support evil shit happening to other people because it won't happen to me because I'm on the good team. So nothing bad will ever happen to me. And then you know what happens, chat? Then the Soviet Union rolls the tanks across Germany and all of these motherfuckers start having their worldviews shattered about how they're not the superior race and communism isn't weak. And you know what they do? They fucking kill themselves in mass. Now, I'm not saying Asmongold's going to kill himself. I'm just talking about the mass suicides in Nazi Germany because all the fascists couldn't accept the reality that they're inferior, that communism was better than fascism and beat its ass when they fought head to head, face to face. The fascists got smashed.
That's literally all she said. And who's in that lawsuit?
Even Russia figured out communism didn't work. No, they didn't. What happened is a dumb fucking rube became president, became leader of the Soviet Union. He was a dumb rube and he believed American propaganda and he thought he could do some reforms. And instead, America installed a pedophile alcoholic scumbag by Yeltsin and they destroyed the country. You know what happened in all the places that used to be the Soviet Union? They got fucking destroyed and they still haven't recovered 30 fucking years later, 40 years later. That's what actually happened. Meanwhile, in China, they did some reforms, but they kept the Communist Party, and now it's the fastest growing economy and society in human history. Almost like that wasn't it.
She's right when she says most streamers are not qualified to talk about politics. Okay, Here's the thing, dude. You actually don't have to be qualified to talk about...
You don't have to be qualified to repeat my opinion to me. Is this right?
Politics to say fuck ICE. It's not...
Of course you do. It's not your position to say that. If somebody doesn't understand politics or what immigration is, why would they be expected to say something about immigration? This is the same purity testing. This is the exact same purity test, collective bullying. This is what these people do. Because they were unable to achieve a consensus at the ballot box, they have to attack, intimidate, defame, and lie.
Okay, first of all, the Democratic Party under Kamala Harris is the only person on the planet that could have lost to Donald Trump. And we're going to teach you guys. And we're going to have a beautiful young Latina woman who's going to come. She's going to stomp all over you. And you're probably into that because at the end of the day, you're a submissive little worm who needs a mommy figure.
About everybody on the internet so they can, by proxy, create a consensus, a false consensus on the internet that everybody dislikes ICE. And they go and attack anybody who doesn't repeat the exact same thing back to them. It's not even enough for someone to be neutral or to not have an opinion. That's not even enough. You have to agree with them or they attack you.
Not that hard of a concept.
Isn't that crazy?
You know who doesn't do political content?
Who?
Cutie Cinderella. Cutie Cinderella literally never does political content.
She talks about politics all the time. What do you mean? She talks about politics constantly. She did a fundraiser for stickers that say fuck ICE. What are you talking about? See, this is what these people do. Is that
so now we're equating supporting someone making a fuck ICE video or supporting a fundraiser for people affected by ICE to be the same thing as making political content? Is that what we're trying to do?
They pretend that their values aren't politics, so they can rationalize forcing everybody to repeat the party line to them. They say, well, this isn't about...
It's not force. I mean, I advocate for force. None of these other people are. I am. I think we should force Asmongold and his supporters. They need help. First of all, he needs to be 5150. The guy's obviously mentally ill. He lives in squalor. He's a hoarder. He doesn't shower. He's covered in fucking pests. He's a nuisance to his community. He should be in a fucking... He talks about homeless people, needing to be put in mental institutions. He objectively is no different than them. The only difference between Asmongold and a homeless man is Asmongold hit the lottery ticket that he was streaming WoW at the exact right time in history, and he hit the lotto on it. And he became the lolcow, a spectacle for a bunch of incels. He's no different than any mentally ill person on the street. That's just objective reality. Let's be honest.
Politics. This is about human decency.
It's about life and death. 5150 is an involuntary commitment to a mental institution.
It's about doing the right thing. But at the end of the day, what they really want to do is they want to get together and collectively bully a person into obeying them, listening to them, and allowing their platform to be co-opted so they can use that person's platform to push their message. And the reason why they're doing all of this is because they lost the election. You couldn't win by an actual consensus. You lost the popular vote, you lost the election, and you lost the will of the people. Most people support mass deportations. So you have to attack, intimidate, and lie about people on the internet so you can scare everybody else into obeying your sycophantic, psychotic group of freaks. It's pathetic. Absolutely.
By the way, it's so funny that Asmongold calls anyone else a group of freaks. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. I think he means sycophantic. He's such a fucking illiterate, dude. God damn. Shut the fuck up.
Absolutely pathetic.
And even she's capable of saying fuck ICE.
Why?
What about Cinna? These are you don't have to be a political creator to recognize that it's not hard to say fuck ICE. And I don't know if you know this. If you're an adult in this country...
Why? If you're an adult in this country, most of them voted for ICE. Immigration was one of the main things that Trump ran on, and he won the popular vote on saying that I'm going to send in ICE and do mass deportations. This entire, and this is the exact same thing that they did during BLM, is that they created this peer pressure where as soon as anybody goes out and doesn't immediately repeat the party line back to them, they assume that this person is the worst, most bad faith, bad actor person, and then they just make up lies about them. They just lie about these people, and then they repeat the...
We don't have to lie about you guys. Lakari, caught with child porn. Tectone is a rapist and a stalker. You put a fucking halo over the head of Tectone's dad when he was a multiple sex offender who got cashiered out of the fucking military for assaulting women and had to have a special law made so that more predators like him didn't get away with it in the military. Rich Campbell is your buddy, and you don't brush your teeth or take showers, and you're covered in filth. What do you mean? What do you mean, freaks? That's you guys.
To each other, they engage in total reputation destruction, and they do everything that
It's so funny because that's all they do. They lie about me and they lie about Hassan. We tell the truth about you. We tell the truth about you. You lie, and you still lose. Even with the +5 by lying on the roll, you still fucking lose.
they can to damage and hurt this person for not obeying and then repeating their political slogans back to them. This is crazy. Endless purity tests. That's right. Total purity test.
Purity test, and it's saying don't advocate for the mass murder, don't advocate for concentration camps, don't advocate for racism, don't advocate for people being oppressed and their constitutional rights violated. Guys, that's us oppressing you. Now, you arresting someone because they wrote in their college newspaper that we shouldn't give money to Israel, that's not oppressive. That's not a purity test. Me saying, hey, don't watch this streamer on twitch.tv because they support fucking the mass kidnapping of innocent people and the violation of our constitutional rights and the murder of American citizens on the street, that's a purity test. Shut up.
And now she's dragging Senna into this. Senna doesn't have anything to do with this. Who cares what Senna does? And and also keep in mind, that's the way that they do it, is they pressure some people to do it. And then once some people fold, then they use the fact that those other people folded for them to go and attack somebody else and say, well, these people folded, why aren't you folding?
Everything he says is a fucking buzzword, and then he reads his chat. Everything he says is a fucking buzzword. There's never an argument. I get tired of watching Asmongold because of how vacuous it is. How completely vacuous it is. There's nothing to it.
This is the way that they wield power, through the force of basically consensus. And it's a false consensus. They're attacking her for not conforming to the groupthink. And also what I think is very ironic about this is that Emmy probably agrees with them. She just doesn't talk about politics on her stream. It's like
they're so defeated. They're so defeated that they have to claim they agree with us now. They're so fucking defeated. Oh, fuck. Oh, Asmon, go on your stream and say that I probably agree with them. Nah. Emmy, just go on your stream and say fuck ICE, and you're never going to talk to Asmon again because he's such a Nazi.
you can't even have a neutral opinion or not want to talk.
You know they're kidnapping Asian people too, right? Like they're not just kidnapping brown people. They're not just kidnapping black people. They're kidnapping Asians off the street too. What, you don't think they'll do it to you? They're sexually assaulting detainees in these facilities where they have no due process. Americans are getting transported all over the fucking country. They can't get the what's called habeas corpus. Now, I know you've never read a book, Emiru and Azagold, so I'll explain to you what habeas corpus is. Habeas corpus is a motion you can make in federal court. It's Latin for present the body. In other words, the government has control of someone and we don't know why. It's not legal. Can the court order that they be released, or the government provide proof for why they're detaining them? It's called habeas corpus. So when you don't have due process, then Americans can't use their habeas corpus rights to free themselves from an unlawful detention. And they do it according to race. Dumb fuck. They go, you're brown, you have an accent, you're not white. I think you might be an immigrant. Do you have your papers? And then this is the really scary part. People have presented their birth certificate and the fucking guys go, I think this is fake, and arrested them anyway. So just being legal and having your papers hasn't been enough.
About this. And the main thing that I don't like about this the most is that the reason why I don't talk about certain issues is because I don't feel like I'm informed on that issue, and I would rather—
Bro, you're not informed on literally any issue. You're uninformed on every fucking issue. What are you talking about? You're uninformed on every issue. As someone who's working closely within the federal courts, 90% of judgments I've seen come through are TROs against the government. Those are temporary restraining orders. And to release the petitioner, the judges are fed up. Yeah, well, I'll believe that when they actually start arresting ICE agents with U.S. Marshals.
rather leave the space open for somebody else who is informed to take that place. Like,
What the fuck are you talking about? Who's informed, you fucking coward? Who's the intelligent chud that we should all be listening to? You're the biggest chud. You uninformed fucking dope. You supported the genocide in Gaza. You supported the intervention in Venezuela. You support concentration camps for ICE protesters. What's the informed right-wing opinion, you fucking worm?
for example, like, I don't really talk a lot about, like, you know, who's right and wrong, and, like, you know, these,
somebody
like,
give me the clip about how he says he never reads books.
like, Iran is a pretty easy one, right? But, like, in other Middle Eastern conflicts, like, I don't try to get into the weeds about, like, who's right, who's wrong.
Why is Iran easy, you uneducated dope? Nobody goes into these dumb wars in the Middle East and goes, we're going to get in a quagmire. We beat Iraq's military relatively quickly, and then there was an insurgency, and a bunch of American soldiers got their dicks blown off by improvised explosive devices. You stick 100,000 American troops in Iran, they'll be coming home in fucking garbage bags. They'll be blown to pieces.
To read articles outside of Twitter, how can you shamelessly tell others to read more? I don't need to understand whatever article you want me to read. All I need to understand is human psychology and incentives. And incentives and human psychology are the deciding factors of how people will behave. I don't need to read your little special book or your Wikipedia article or anything else besides that. None of that stuff matters. What matters fundamentally is how do people act, how do people think, and how do people respond to incentives. If you can understand that, then nothing...
Isn't it so funny how dumb this fucking rat is? This is medieval peasant brain. This is cut open the rabbit and see if its entrails have tumors. And if they do, that means we're gonna have a bad harvest season. This is the type of mentality that kept human beings in dark ages for thousands of years. Literal peasant brain. And we broke out of this kind of mentality, and it was very, very hard to get out of this kind of mentality. It took centuries of effort to finally break out. This is like generationally dim-witted. This is something that, if it spreads, will actually kill us. The reason why so many of us have lives where we can afford to eat food, even though we don't do any farming, is because of technology and knowledge that was developed through actual learning and science. This is beyond peasant brain. This is honest to God, virulent stupidity that's going to kill people. God, he's so fucking worthless, man.
else matters. It's pretty simple.
God, he's such a fucking dumbass. And chat, it's not that hard. Chat, how do we get Wake to move to LA? Abandon Texas, Wake. It's fucking over, man. Abandon Texas.
Point is that, like, yes, hold content creators accountable if you believe their silence to be complicit in the degradation of the world, but also it's their prerogative whether or not they choose to speak on it, right? So I hope that everyone, as someone who, you know, stands firmly in the camp of fuck ICE, and I would love to see that fucking Gestapo get dismantled, I would love for everyone to speak ill of it because I think it's good. But I also understand that as someone who's lost money due to speaking out on things, I understand why people don't do it.
Well, here's my counter. I love Wake. Let me just counter argument this by saying people should lose money for being right-wing chuds and being cowards. I think disgusting centrist corporate scum should not be rewarded. I want to live in a world where virtuous people are rewarded for speaking out, not punished. And it disgusts me that Wake was punished for saying the right thing. That's capitalism in a nutshell. They promote people that are sociopaths, and they step up people that say the right thing and do the right thing. We're going to fight against that. We're going to make it different. We're going to stand outside of the market, and we're going to say, fuck you. Nobody watch this scumbag. They're a Nazi. We're going to punish you. We're going to make your line go down.
At the same time, I encourage everyone to do it all the same because there are a few things that, will stick with you forever. And it's...
Mike, has crime gone down? Crime has been going down for decades. The crime went down fastest in places that are ruled by socialists, namely the Philadelphia DA. Larry Krasner is the most left-wing DA in the country, and he has seen murder rate in Philadelphia fall faster and lower than any other city in the country. The other place where violence is going down is in New York City under Zoran Mamdani. So if you want murder to go down and crime to go down, you need to elect far left candidates.
You know, what it is you chose to stand for, right? Point is that, like, yes, hold content creators.
Now, look at this chat. This will close out our Asmongold shit, and then we'll move on to something that's a little bit more interesting. Which is, look at Asmongold talking about harassing small streamers for not supporting ICE.
Well, people get mad and they talk shit about this, but at the end of the day, I'm glad that more people are starting to speak up against it. And I'm glad that, I'm going to be honest, I'm glad that more creators are getting hate on social media for not supporting ICE and for making virtue statements against ICE. I think that content creators need to deserve, I think they deserve, and I think they need a lot more hate, and they need a lot more pushback for being able to virtue signal about how bad ICE is. I do. I'm really glad to see more people speaking up against it and, you know, taking a stand for these weirdos, right? Especially streamers. I want to see it happen a lot more.
Well, Emiru is a good place to start, you fucking little bitch. And we're going to come for all your little friends. You think it's bad now. It's just starting. It's just starting. You fucking parasite, hypocrite, scum. I mean, of course he's a hypocrite. Of course he's scum. Of course he's lower than low. He doesn't believe in anything. What a pathetic worm.
On October 16th, 1859, John Brown and nearly 24 slaves seized the armory at Harper's Ferry in West Virginia, hoping to use its massive arsenal in the struggle to end slavery. Captured and brought to trial at nearby Charleston, Brown was found guilty of treason. 1 month before his execution, he addressed a courtroom in Charleston, West Virginia.
I have, may it please the court, a few words to say. In the first place, I deny everything but what I have all along admitted. The design on my part to free the slave. I intended certainly to have made a clear thing of that matter, as I did last winter when I went into Missouri and there took slaves without the snapping of a gun on either side, moved them through the country, and finally left them in Canada. I designed to have done that same thing again on a larger scale. That was all I intended. I never intended murder or treason or destruction of property or to excite or incite the slaves to rebellion or make insurrection. I have another objection, and that is, it is unjust that I should suffer such a penalty. Had I interfered in the manner which I admit, and which I admit has been fairly proved, had I so interfered in behalf of the rich, the powerful, the intelligent, the so-called great, or in behalf of any of their friends, either father, mother, brother, sister, wife, or children, or any of that class, and suffered and sacrificed what I have in this interference, it would have been all right. And every man in this courtroom would have deemed it an act worthy of reward rather than punishment. This court acknowledges, I suppose, the validity of the law of God. I see a book kissed here, which I suppose to be the Bible, or at least the New Testament. That teaches me that whatsoever I would that men should do to me, I should do even so to them. And it teaches me further to remember them that are in bonds as bound with. I endeavored to act up to that instruction. Now, I say I am yet too young to understand that God is any respecter of person. I believe that to have interfered, as I have done, as I have always freely admitted I have done, in behalf of his despised poor, was not wrong, but right. Now, if it is deemed necessary that I should forfeit my life for the furtherance of the ends of justice, and mingle my blood with the blood of my children, and with the blood of millions in this slave country, whose rights are disregarded by wicked, cruel, and unjust enactments, I submit, so let it be done.
And John Brown was murdered. John Brown was executed by the slaver. He was hung by the neck until dead under Virginia Colonel Robert E. Lee, who in a few short years would become the lead secessionist traitorous general. Killed a man for treason, the only loyal American, by a future traitor. That is America in a nutshell. That is the America that we live in, where the just are treated unjustly. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly the problem that we face.
What the Epstein files say about Bernie Sanders, part 2. There's a link to a Washington Post article that says Bernie Sanders says we're destroying the fabric of America, and it's by a CEO. So the guys in the Epstein files were upset that Bernie Sanders said greedy rich dudes are destroying the moral fabric of America. I think my problem with this is when Bernie said this, he didn't know how right he was. This one is fascinating and perplexing. It's an exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and Paul Krasner, who's a satirist and the founder of the magazine The Realist. They're discussing the movement post-Trump's inauguration, almost describing what resistance to Trump looked like at the time. This is February 2017. They talked about how the people protesting the day after the inauguration were mostly women and children. It was organized, loving resistance. He talked about music like Beyonce, Gaga, and Springsteen. Icons like the Republicans with conscience, which is hilarious to call out this group as if it's something unique and new. People who stand with Trump victims, and personalities like Elizabeth Warren, John Lewis, and our boy Bernie Sanders. A lot of the emails that Jeffrey Epstein was getting were like news roundups, and so it's fascinating to me what news they were paying attention to. This one said Bernie Sanders was basically blacked out in the media during the election. The same email where they were discussing a black singer evoking imagery of the Black Panthers. It seems like any sort of social movement, counterculture makes these guys nervous. They're paying very close attention to them. Epstein shared this piece about populist movements and how they can grow. You could begin to see the elements of Bernie Sanders coupled with the Trump movement that really becomes a dominant force in American politics. And they're talking about how Steve Bannon intentionally went to go study movements that merged nationalism and populism. And Bannon also mainstreamed a lot of QAnon ideas. The idea that there's a secret group of pedophile elites, the deep state controlling the government, when all along he was boys with Jeffrey Epstein. They tried to conjure up a populist movement in America while being a group of elites trying to pull the puppet strings of our politics. It's like the opposite of populism. And of course, here's a favorite from Larry.
That's what we have. We have elitism. We have a society that is focused on disrupting and controlling the working class.
Summers. He's doing well, except for the fact that his kids love Bernie Sanders. It's really giving, you might not like this one, but your kids are gonna love it. It actually feels good that these guys were trying to create a populist movement that they could steer and control to their own personal benefit. And now the populists in America are united in their hatred of Epstein and his closest friends. And so as much as they want to try to destroy the moral fabric of America, I think it's beautiful that collectively we're not letting this go, and we're not letting them. What the Epstein files say about Bernie Sanders, part 2. There's a link to a Washington Post article that says Bernie Sanders says we're destroying the fabric of America, and it's by...
I mean, like, that's, and they literally are. That's the thing that's crazy. All right, chat, I want to talk about, oh my fucking God, this is like, I saw this and I wrote a draft tweet after I saw this video, and I was like, Noah Smith, Van Jones, Matty Iglesias, there, you know, and there's a few dozen others that just need to be silenced because they have never once said anything of value. And if they stop talking and stop programming boomer brains to have the dumbest fucking takes on the planet, the human race might actually survive. I think Van Jones may actually be the biggest sellout in all of America.
If progressives have a politics that says all white people are racist, all men are...
Does anyone believe that this is the politics that people are talking about? When's the last time AOC was like, all whites are racist and all men are sexist? This is how they have to straw man the argument. They have to, and by the way, this is supposed to be a Democrat. This is supposed to be a Democrat. He's spreading the propaganda of the right.
And all billionaires are evil. It's kind of hard to keep them on your side.
One of those things is not like the other, you dumb fuck piece of shit. Shut the fuck up.
So we might want to think about, if you're chasing people out of the party, you can't be mad when they leave. And maybe if we had a different politics, we actually said dignity for everybody, everybody's respected and we need you, more people might. If progressive.
I want you to understand something right now. Your pathetic, mewing, crawling on your knees, kissing the feet of the right wing and the corporate centrists honestly and truly, there's some people that need to be released. Like they hate themselves. They're just too cowardly to kill themselves. Is what it really is. It's like they have to inflict their like profound vacuousness and self-hatred on the rest of the world. And Van Jones knows what he's doing is hurting humanity, but he's too weak to actually just go out and hurt people directly. So he has to do this like poisonous, parasitic sabotage of the human race for his own little petty bank account. Like, what are we even doing this for?
Have a politics, it says.
God, what a fucking worm. What a complete fucking worm. This dude is part of the wealthy elite and pretends to speak for the everyman. I mean, it's just, what an embarrassment. All right, chat, there is another Graham Plattner.
Sam Cedar,
video.
Emma Vigeland on the Majority Report. It is a pleasure to welcome back to the program Ken Klippenstein, independent journalist covering security and U.S. politics at Clip News on Substack. And Ken, I feel like we've talked to you multiple times over the course of the past just like month or two because you keep breaking these stories. First off, apparently the feds have figured out who is Commander Zero.
Oh, wait, this is the wrong video. What is happening? That's the wrong video. That's the video I wanted. I was like, wait, what the fuck? Okay. All right, we're going to watch that.
Graham Platter here, interrupting your regularly scheduled programming of Donald Trump-incited chaos, overthrowing governments, and ICE agents trampling on our Constitution. But they want us to watch all of this so we don't start asking questions. Why are groceries so expensive? Why are we still spending billions of taxpayer dollars to fund other countries' wars? Why are electricity bills going up? Why are billionaires and corporations running D.C.? I'm Graham Platter, and I approve this message because we deserve a government that takes down the oligarchy, not democracy.
Very simple. Very easy. And the question we need to ask ourselves...
I get distracted.
Is the left having its own tea party? Is the left having its own tea party?
Someone just reminded me, in Indiana, there are Democrats running for every state Senate seat for the first time since 1974.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. All right.
So we will see. I mean, there's going to be... There's a lot of things happening on the electoral front. A couple of days ago, was it the beginning of the week when that special election in Texas happened?
I think it was, yeah.
Was it 6 months ago or was
Monday?
it like 4 days ago?
Yeah, I think that was Monday.
Monday?
We got the news of that.
Elections on Tuesdays. It's throwing us, it's too much. We're already thrown off.
Like the NFL on Thursday?
Yeah, what are you doing?
So at the beginning of the week, there was a special election in Texas in a state Senate seat where the Democrat made up 31 to 34 points. Donald Trump had won that district by 17 points, and the Democrat ended up winning it by something like 14 points. So maybe it was 31. That's a 31-point swing. It was also a potential harbinger of what will happen in the midterms, because it suggested that the gains amongst Latinos that the Republicans had made had completely reversed themselves. And of course, those gains were in many instances in the redistricting in Texas, the basis of these new districts that it may have turned out to be a dummy mander. And now this in New Jersey, this is a Democratic primary. A Democrat is more than likely to win this district in the general election. Very blue
district. This is my hometown district, so I'm quite proud of this result here. It's a heavy homeowner population, one of the wealthier districts in the country.
Wait. This is Emma's home district? That explains so fucking much. That explains so much.
It's a northern New Jersey suburb of New York City.
There's like maybe 3 districts or 4 districts that are richer than this. This is like New Jersey's ritziest district.
And this is Mikey Sherrill's old district, and now that she has become the governor of New Jersey.
A Dem won a special election landslide at a Trump plus 13 district. Louisiana State House 60 jungle primary. Chastity Verrett Martinez 62%. Brad Diagle 38%. These are the most quintessential Democrat and Republican names I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. I have never seen more quintessentially American political names that line up with the parties. Chastity Martinez and Brad Diagle. I'm pissed the DSA skipped the Jeffries primary. Yeah, Zoran and the socialist majority guys in New York are just, they're massively undershooting their goals. And it's kind of sucks. And I don't, and now it's like, now they're like endorsing regular Democrats. They're acting weak, and it's really weird. And they're missing the moment.
They had to hold this special primary. So this is the primary here. And we have the results. Over 90% of the votes are counted. There's still some ballots that need to be counted. But it's razor thin margins. Mejia, the progressive candidate, the WFP candidate, former Bernie 2020 organizer, endorsed by AOC, endorsed by Bernie, Warren, among others, is now ahead by around 600 votes. And there were a bunch of outlets that called it for Malinowski really early on in the night. And she had this late
we should tell
surge.
people who Malinowski is.
Yeah.
Malinowski is a former congressman. Here, leave that up. Malinowski's a former congressman, a moderate, I think you could say.
Definitely, yeah.
And by moderate, sort of like a corporatist, conservative. I mean, however, and he had been a very faithful, and this is sort of like maybe the icing on the cake. It is a 5-way race. And Malinowski was certainly favored. I mean, significantly.
Significantly.
I think. And Malinowski has been a faithful funder of Israel, although he did say he was open to the idea, just open to the idea of potentially conditioning aid to Israel based upon, how genocidal it becomes. And
that pissed AIPAC off. And they wanted apparently to make an example out of him, saying, like, you could be 95% of the way that we need you to be in terms of lockstep genocidally voting or whatever. But if you're not 100%,
Jeffries now has a negative 25% net favorability rating. I know he would have been defeated. If we actually challenged him, he would have been defeated. Like, that's just the reality. He would have been defeated. And not challenging him is probably a world historic mistake that we're going to regret for decades. But hey, open presence. I'll talk to her about it. I'll talk to her about it. I doubt. See, the thing is, content creators, it's a good idea to just do it. The thing about content creators is when you see me streaming up here, you think of me just hanging out, but actually mentally, this is very taxing. It's very taxing to stream for 6 hours and then stay on the computer to run like a Reddit or something. So like, if you're a really big supporter of ours and friend of ours, you can run it. Like I would encourage you to do that. Open presence. Thank you so much for the 100 though. You're the best. And the more people, the more hands at the till, like the more you put onto all of us to do, the more fragile the thing is.
With us,
I'm busy.
We're going to spend a boatload of money on and help one of your opponents. That's Way there, who came in third. The DMFI, also the Democratic Zionist funding.
Majority for Israel.
Yeah, they also backed her. And they backed her by funding her campaign, but most importantly, funding a bunch of ads against Malinowski.
Now, the interesting thing about the ads against Malinowski, reportedly, they sent mailers talking about Israel as the topic. But in terms of like the TV spends, the AIPAC and its front groups did what they do typically, which is not mention Israel at all. Mm-hmm. And in fact, attack Malinowski as if they're attacking from the left. And they made a wild miscalculation in this instance, because the benefit of these attack ads ended up going to Mejia, not to Way, who was their preferred candidate. And what's interesting about this is both that it may have two different implications that would both be positive, aside from having a genuine progressive in that seat, at least until 2026, where she would have to rerunning it, but would be doing from the benefit of being an incumbent. It also might signal to the Democratic establishment, we need to stop having these people play in these races.
How do you think Haley Stevens is feeling right now that she's been getting all this AIPAC money and is tied to them? She could cut it off tomorrow, and she's still the AIPAC candidate in Michigan.
And I'm not even talking from the perspective of Israel, but rather the Democratic establishment might see that, like, hey, wait a second, this is supposed to help us, not hurt us. And not even when it's under sort of like under the underground, their decision making is a little bit suspect here. Now, of course, all this money comes from right-wing donors. So at one point, the Democratic Party might want to make some type of, and the best they can do is simply say, we're not going to provide you funds if there are outside expenditures that benefit you in any way, et cetera. There's ways of them at least discouraging it. The other thing is that it reiterates that Democrats should be taking a much more aggressive posture when it comes to funding DHS. Here is that ad.
In the special election to fill Mikey Sherrill's House seat, Tom Malinowski says he'll stand up to Trump. But hold on. In 2019, Tom Malinowski voted with Trump and the Republicans to fund ICE. More than $200 million for Trump's deportation force. $200 million that got us this? Democrats called Malinowski's vote a blank check for the Trump administration and a betrayal. We can't trust Tom Malinowski.
Pause for a sec.
And by the way, chat, the reason why they did this is something that guys should understand. There's a reason why they did this. They did this because they tested the Democratic base voters, and the only thing that got people off of supporting Malinowski was anti-ICE. They had to make an anti-ICE ad to get people to stop liking him. That shows you where the minds of the Democratic base are.
Is responsible.
Wait, who's responsible for this ad? What does it say there really quickly? I just wanted to read the bottom.
Can't trust Tom Malinowski. UDP is responsible for the content of this ad.
There it is. United Democracy Project is the AIPAC front. Unbelievable.
But I mean, we could say the same thing about Chuck Schumer in that ad. I mean, that Chuck Schumer was instrumental in funding the DHS. Now, I think he voted against it. I can't remember exactly, but we know how he manipulated the whole thing. He didn't want to have a shutdown this time. He was again forced to do so.
I like Sam, but why is Sam still acting like Democrats are acting in good faith? I don't think that he is. I think Sam Cedar has, as I said before, the Ralph Nader brainworm, which is no third party could exist. So therefore, assuming no third party could exist, you must make the Democratic Party as good as possible. And sometimes that means just supporting the Democratic Party. And the reality is that that's not correct. Because if the centrist Democrats are rewarded electorally by all of us becoming automaton vote blue no matter who voters, there's no incentive for them to try to lean left. Because defeat is actually good for the Democratic Party. It's good that these guys lose. It makes our argument more compelling, because if they're winning every time, then why do they need to change? They should keep going right wing until they're basically Republican too.
And so there's a lot of good things that could come out of this, and hopefully that 600 vote margin holds up. It's unclear whether this would trigger an automatic recount or not, at least on our end. We don't know yet.
But I also just want to point out the county line piece of this is also immensely important. We saw that when New Jersey eliminated this county line, there was a big legal fight over it, that it's been benefiting some more progressive candidates. Andy Kim was a part of that, but also even who won the mayoral race in Jersey City, because the AIPAC split the vote among non-progressive candidates by doing this. And say you're a lefty person and you see that ad against Malinowski, what are you going to do? Look up who the actual lefty is that stood up to Donald Trump. And Mejia benefited from that. I think also her work as an organizer, she really drove the numbers in Essex County, again, my hometown county, and turned out a lot of people, which people like to be dismissive of door knocking and stuff like that. But her work in that area made a major difference, and it was incredibly implausible, because in fourth place was the guy Brendan Gill. He was the Essex County machine Democrat who normally would have gotten this position on the ballot that would have been favorable prior to this legal challenge, where instead of grouping candidates by office as ballots tend to do in New Jersey prior to 2024, they were grouping them by the party line. And the party line would be the Democratic machine in Essex County or in other areas of New Jersey putting their candidate forward. And that had it made a major difference in privileging them on the ballot. It looks like, oh, this is the Democrat. This is the person you should support if you support these other candidates. And he came in fourth. So the candidate that AIPAC spent on to elevate came in third. The Democratic Party machine candidate came in fourth. And Malinowski had a lot of name recognition, but he was...
Well, Mike, it seems the issue is that the current progressive Democrats don't want to split. So the question is, what would make them split? Okay, so the problem that we have is Democratic voters are where I want them to be. Democratic voters are already progressive. The problem is the Democratic Party is not a Democratic Party, meaning we cannot get rid of these fucking leaders. So they keep pushing, they ignore what their base voters support. They ignore what their base voters call for. They're cynical. They'll make ads lying about their position. They'll obscure their position. They are, I mean, the only real way to explain it, it's a type of corruption. When you have a Democratic culture where people conceal their views from the voters and they try to obfuscate their views, that's corruption. And so the Democratic Party is so thoroughly corrupted. That's why I want to throw it away. Because how do you redeem it? It's anti-democratic, and the culture of it is so fucking broken. A lot of people believe that it's also weak, that we could seize the Democratic Party. And there are advantages of seizing the Democratic Party, namely ballot position. There are millions and millions of people that identify as Democrats. And when you start a new party, you lose those people. It's a slow process to get those people over to your side. The Democratic Party is going to maintain a lot of natural strength because of the people who identify as Democrats. Even if they agree with you on every issue, they may not trust you or they may not identify with a new party. And so I understand the argument for the people that are saying, let's just seize the Democratic Party. My problem with it is, I don't think it's actually going to work the way they think it. They think that AOC is going to win the primary in 2028 and the Democratic Party is going to go in line. And the reality is no, it's not. They're going to do everything they can to sabotage her. They're going to do everything they can to fuck her up. They're going to do everything they can to contain her. They're going to do everything they can to muzzle her. They're going to do everything they can to tame her. They're going to fight tooth and nail. And I don't know that the American people have the patience for a 7-year slow burn change to the Democratic Party and dismantling of the establishment and removal of people. And I don't know that they have the patience for that. That's what worries me.
Still kind of stuck in the middle, and Mejia looks like she could come in first here. So, I mean, it's really, really important. And this is not a commie corridor district by any means. I mean, there's a lot of homeowners. It's more affluent. But it means that perhaps this Democratic Tea Party is here. And if Mejia can win in that kind of district, lefties can win all across the country.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day.
All right, chat. I have incredible news. We have broken 100,000 DSA members achieved. I hit 100,000 followers at DSA. It's 100,000 members. Coincidence? I don't think so. It is not. It's actually completely expected. Mike from PA, followed by the main account. 100,000 Democratic Socialist members. I am so proud to be part of this organization. There's a lot of annoying people, including myself. There's a lot of people that I disagree with for various reasons. But the fact that DSA is growing and building all over this country is incredibly hopeful. And I believe we can make it to 1 million. I believe that we can make it to 1 million. And the larger and stronger this organization gets, the better we will perform. My city chapter is barely getting off the ground, but we had an anti-ICE protest yesterday and 20 people we didn't know showed up. That's how you do it. That's how you fucking do it. Just do shit. and get people to sign up. That is the way. Just fucking do shit. And by the way, like, listen, Zoran is going to do shit I disagree with. I think that he's wrong about Hakeem Jeffries. I think he's wrong about Kathy Hochul. I understand his argument. I don't agree with it. But I'm also not going to have a fucking mental breakdown. I disagree with him. I'm going to do something different. I'm allowed to. He's allowed to disagree. He's allowed to endorse who he wants to endorse. I'm allowed to be annoyed about it. And I'm going to stand over here and say, I don't think that's a right tactical decision. And then when I'm proven right in a year, I want to be able to say, see, we told you. Now it's time to change your position. I don't want to make this some sort of like weird fucking schizo, you know, you're not allowed to have a tactical disagreement with me. Like, that's silly. That's very silly.
To show you some highlights from the week that was, you tell me.
Okay, the Department of Justice, old man yap a lot. Oh no, Epstein,
JW, great point.
And redacted. This story is of Epstein and all the things he may or may not have done.
I'm going to say he may have done them.
Yeah.
Let's get the first thing out the way. Sitting right here.
No.
Right now is in the Epstein file.
Senator.
For the record,
right here. What are you talking about?
Only in newspaper articles, please. Yes. Who else?
We're talking about.
Michael, make eye contact with me, Michael.
So this is true. This is true. You and I are in the Epstein files. But no, it's for doing political. Calm down. We're gonna get to the why.
Don't ever get to why and let me just enjoy it.
No, I have to get to why.
You're all nasty.
No, Hassan and I are in the files for doing political comedy shows. Senator Schiff is in there for a bunch of news headlines, and Michael Ian Black is in there for his show on something called. Okay. So, Amber, it looks like you are the odd one out when it comes to who's in the Epstein file. Now, we've had about a week to take in all of
Wait a second. This is, bro, we're boys. And you text me, hey, come on the show. And you're gonna you're gonna ambush me in Act 1 with a comedian friend of mine, and who's in the Epstein files? I'm like,
Hey, how do you think I feel?
Senator, you know what you signed up for. Me and him.
It's not you, we in it.
Fair.
It's we.
Right, we're in this together.
Speaking of Epstein, chat, did you guys see what Hutch said? Hutch says he would vote for Jeffrey Epstein.
I condemn Jeffrey Epstein, yes or no, Hutch?
I do. Yeah. But if he had a D next to his name and he was running for a Texas Senate
Oh my God.
I would probably vote for him. I'm just saying.
That'd be a tough one.
Wild.
Not kidding.
You're just gonna let that one
not a joke. Not a joke.
Wow.
Wow, I can't believe the Destiny supporter and Orbiter wants to vote for a pedophile unprompted. Unprompted, he said he was desperate to tell you how much he would vote for a pedophile. We know, Hutch. We know who your friends are. The ones that have child porn on their computer. We know, dude. You don't have to tell us. Also, picking up the mannerisms of Joe Biden is fucking wild. Saying not a joke about how you want to vote for a pedophile. That's, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, like, sometimes people ask me, Mike, how do you get started as a political commentator? You know, and my advice, I used to have a lot of complicated advice, but here's my newest advice. Go and see what Hutch is saying and just say the opposite, right? If you just say the opposite, you're going to be good. Over the last year, his average viewership is down 40%. His hours watched is down 26%. His followers gained are negative 2,907. His peak viewers are down 67%. But his hours streamed are up 20%, and his number of streams are up 23%. How the fuck is your viewership, your hours watched down a quarter, while your number of streams is up a quarter? That means you are fucking falling off, bro. Hutch was mentioned in the Epstein files. Oh, holy shit, dude. Him watching my video and then having a tangent where he stops listening and talks about how he doesn't floss his teeth and he doesn't wash his bald head, and people were like, ew, you probably have dandruff on your bald head because it's unmoisturized and dirty. And then he just gave up. It was like, I guess I just have to believe Mike. I'm not an expert. Bro, you know, this is like having Hutch as like your enemy is like being the Pittsburgh Steelers and having their rival be the Cleveland Browns. At a certain point, you're just like, it stops being fun. It stops being fun. You're just like, oh no, it's the Browns again. And then they like try so hard and they lose and you feel so bad. All right, let's make fun of Bill Maher.
What kind of guys are you? Are you like, I know Brian, you're kind of a Lego guy. Chris, have you identified with any kind of guys?
Well, I became a bowling guy. We did bowling guys and we covered it, and I remembered, hey, I kind of like bowling, so I got a ball and shoes, and I started going to this local bowling alley where nobody is taking it seriously. It's all like families and stuff, and I'm putting on my really shitty looking shoes and pulling up my custom ball, and then oftentimes bowling a much lower score than family who's just in there enjoying themselves. But I got decent. I got my whole goal before the end of 2025 was to bowl a 210 pin.
Who the fuck is Hutch? He's someone that I like to make fun of. He's my lol cow.
Which is not that easy to do, and I did. I cracked it. I got a 200 on like the 29th of January. So
before we go on Bill Maher, I wanted to show you something, chat. Our country may be saved from Donald Trump doing a coup because an 82-year-old black woman is fed up with the centrist cucks in her own party. Senator Louise Lucas just tweeted out, I have the utmost respect for Senator Kaine and Senator Warner, but we do not need coaching on redistricting coming from a cuck chair in the corner. How about you all stay focused on the fascist in the White House and let us handle redistricting in Virginia and won. Now, because of pure fucking luck, an 82-year-old black woman is the senator pro tempore. Now, obviously, she's a talented politician and well functioned. You know, she managed the machine to become the leader of a legislative body is an incredibly impressive feat. I'm not taking anything away from her as a politician. I'm praising her, and I'm saying that it's pure fucking luck that we have somebody with her attitude in that position, because Virginia is now being gerrymandered how I would gerrymander it. Democrats are going to be in 10 Democratic leaning seats. Republicans are going to lose 4 members. And that's in a district, that would be in a normal year. In the year we're about to have, which is a blue wave landslide, they're locked the fuck up. And I got to tell you, California didn't gerrymander as hard as Virginia is gerrymandering. And this is what I've been saying for a long time. If you want gerrymandering to end, both parties need to maximize it. You have to gerrymander harder. You have to gerrymander more. 538 used to have a gerrymandering thing. Do they still have that? 538 gerrymandering project. They used to have this thing that you could do. I don't know if it still exists, where you could gerrymandering. You could practice gerrymandering. Is it gone now? God, that sucks so much. You could have fun with it. And if you gerrymander correctly, the Republican Party would not exist. It was New York Times. Oh, hell yeah. No. This is a video game. This is the game. No. I'm talking about the actual districts in America. This is a little game. I'm talking about actual, full redistricting of the country. We already played this on stream, and I was a champion at it. Not only did I gerrymander, I made them compact. Assad got 100% correct. No, he did not. You're misremembering. Okay, so this is boring, so we're not watching that. Senator Lucas used her influence in the Portsmouth via city council to get cheap land, which she sold to Rivers Casino, which someone serious would run against her. I mean, that sounds like a machine politician to me.
What have you made of just generally the files and all the many people from across the political spectrum in there? It's kind of a reminder. The people who we called conspiracy theorists were kind of right about this elite all scratching each other's backs and protecting criminals.
So when this happens, I go back to something that's not helpful for me to get angry about, but I do every single time. And it's this main sentence that Merrick Garland had these files for 4 years
I've been saying that for last week.
Do anything with it.
Kills me.
And then people will say, well, no, it's because of Ghislaine's trial.
No, that was over. That was finished by 22.
Does anybody have this full interview? I want to watch this full interview. It's good clickbait. Also, chat, did I not tell you Merrick Garland was a cuck? Did I not tell you that Merrick Garland was a cuck? You know what I mean? Like, it was very, 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 very For years and years and years, when we first came in, I was like, now we're stuck with Merrick Garland in 2021. So I don't want you to, you know, it's easy to look back and go, wow, Merrick Garland was a cuck. But what was it? What were people saying when they were first proposing him?
We had independence, and I'm like, this is why we lose.
Yes.
This is why we'll continue to lose.
Music to my ears.
That's what makes me angriest about it.
I want this full interview. Someone give me this full interview. I want to debate people. Come on, let me debate people. Let me debate people. They haven't posted it. Oh fuck. No, this is a Teo clip, so it's from his site.
That the Democrats had this shit. And not only is it the right thing to do to expose all of these rich pedophiles and pedophile protectors and pedophile enablers, but also we had democracy on the line. And that they didn't
They could have, imagine Elon Musk and Donald Trump were there for the taking. Can you imagine if Donald Trump had a bunch of files in which a confidential informant under oath at the penalty of perjury says she saw Joe Biden committing sex crimes or threatening people with death? Now, those are the allegations against Trump in the Epstein files. He denies them. They're not proven in court, but that's in the files. Can you imagine? Do you think Trump would have sat on that if he had that on Biden or George Soros, who is the kind of liberal equivalent of Musk in terms of donations? Of course not.
No, they would release it. And then the Democrats charge Hunter Biden with lying on a gun application.
Yes. No, but they showed how independent they were. And
right. And so this is where I'm like, this is why people don't like Democrats. The Democrats are constantly going, how can we talk to Republicans? And it's like, change your attitude. Your attitude needs to be, how can we beat Republicans?
That's the thing. People don't identify with the Republican Party anymore. And they certainly don't identify with the Democratic Party. And if somebody identifies with the Republican Party, fuck them. We don't need them. Somebody voted for Trump 3 times and Romney and McCain, and then you listen to their fucking take. They're not winnable. Give the fuck up on that person. Fuck them. Stop trying to kiss their feet. It's embarrassing. Man, I want to have debate comment. There isn't enough good debate content. Here's the Gallup numbers on that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could just look at it. More people are independent than ever. So if you trash the Republican Party, people are going to nod their head. Stop kissing Republican ass. They're fucking irrelevant. Who cares about the 27% of people that identify as Republican? Fuck them. Oh, Mike, we need to have 80% of the vote in order for us to pass our fucking stupid tax credits for small business. Like, who gives a shit? What can you even say? And this is what's really fucking insane. Top Republicans warn GOP will face midterm election bloodbath.
Yesterday, Democratic Senator
We need to make sure as many socialists benefit from that as possible.
Ossoff of Georgia delivered a fiery speech attacking the Trump administration for being out of touch.
Of course, the third party is viable. If AOC and Bernie Sanders and Zohran Mamdani today said, we're starting a new party called the Progressive Party or whatever the fuck, it would destroy the Democrats in 5 minutes. The Working Families Party, it doesn't even really fucking matter. But they're too scared, because why would they do that? They've individually won under the system as it is. They have too much to lose. Why would they bother?
Touch with the needs of everyday Americans.
Now, you remember, we were told that MAGA was for working class Americans. You remember that? But this is a government of, by, and for the ultra rich. It is the wealthiest cabinet ever. This is the Epstein class ruling our country. They are the elites they pretend to hate.
As the only Senate Democrat up for re-election this year in a state Trump won in 2024, Ossoff is supposedly seen as the most vulnerable Democratic incumbent in this year's midterms. But as the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reports, Ossoff is seizing the offensive and causing senior Democratic leaders and even influential Republicans to see a race that's tilting in his favor. It comes as we are less than 9 months until this year's midterm elections, and the outlook is not looking good for Republicans. That's an understatement. That assessment is not coming from the Democrats, but the Republicans themselves. In fact, according to Axios, private polling has top Republicans not only worried about losing the House, where they hold a very slim majority, but they're increasingly worried they could lose control of the Senate as well. And Axios also reports that top GOP strategists acknowledge that immigration and the economy, the two issues that drove Trump's win in 2024, are now political liabilities. Eugene Robinson is back with us, and also joining us now, Stuart Stevens, senior advisor at the Lincoln Project and author of It Was All a Lie, How the Republican Party Became Donald Trump. Eugene, we're going to get to you in a minute, but Stuart, I want to start with you so we don't forget about you on the other side there. But let's talk about Georgia. It seems to be a bellwether for what's going on right now in this country. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene's deep red district of Rome, Georgia, has Republicans concerned that it's going to flip to a Democrat. You had Greg Bluestein report this week that with 21 candidates on the ballot, Republicans worry a divided field could give Democrats an opening in a deep red Georgia district. What are you hearing about Georgia, and what does this say to you about Trump's success in the first 2 years of his administration?
Yeah, you know, the recent Georgia political history, I think, has been some of the most fascinating in the American political history. You had 2 Democrat senators who were elected on January 5th, 2021, which, I mean, as a Republican who worked in the South for many years in Senate races, governor's races, to have 2 Democrat senators elected on the same day from Georgia, it's like winning the World Series with 4 perfect games. I mean, it just is extraordinary that it would happen.
John Ossoff was the weak candidate, by the way. He got carried. He got fucking carried by radical liberal Raphael Warnock. And honestly, I got to tell you something, chat. If you like John Ossoff, if you think like, oh, John Ossoff, he's going to save us, you are exactly the type of person I'm worried about, because you're a dope. He fucking sucks. $700,000 from AIPAC. He's a Zionist. Doesn't support Medicare for all. Like, he is a corporate drone. If you fall for that, he's basically just Pete Buttigieg part 2. Now, I'm glad he won. I'm not saying I want a Republican to win, but if you want him to lead the Democratic Party, you are telling on yourself as a status quo defender. Voted for the Lake and Riley Act. Just a total bitch.
So why did it happen? One of the major factors was the fact that the Republican Party was divided. You had Donald Trump, who was still, you know, in this frenzy. Somehow elections don't matter because I didn't win. So he was out there sending a signal and sometimes saying directly to Republicans, don't bother voting, it's all rigged. Which, you know, if you're on the other side, you're like, I'm good with that. Maybe he's right. Don't bother voting. And you're having the same thing now with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I take some amusement in, is going around saying that MAGA was all a lie. And that splits the base. And there's nothing about the Republican Party at the moment that draws you to it. I mean, in politics, you need a good messenger or a good message. And who are the messengers? You know, Stephen Miller, Tom Holman, Kristi Noem. These are just very unlikable people that you would not put out there to attract new voters. And what is the message? It's just an absolute mess. And these Republicans candidates know this. And the normal way to correct from this is to admit there was a mistake. We're going to do better. Give me another chance. In Trump world, you can't say that. So they're sort of boxed in by their own president that limits their potential political moves.
Because the messenger is often just Donald Trump himself, right? Like one of the issues with the Republican Party is that they fear getting ahead of him at all times. And then when he supports you, his support is contingent on you doing exactly what he says. Yeah. And the support is rarely, if ever, monetary. So it's just a tweet. Yeah, right. You know what I mean?
Warnock is not a progressive. I mean, here's how I feel about Warnock and Ossoff. I think that they would vote with the whip. What I mean by that is, if there is a Democratic president and they have and it's, you know, you have to vote for this bill, I think they would vote for it. And that's all I care about. But as far as national leaders, if you're dumb enough to think they should be national leaders, you are everything that's wrong with the Democratic Party. And how are you that dumb? How are you this dumb in 2026? These are our ideological enemies. Like, grow up. Stop being a fucking rube. It's Jesus Christ. I thought you would have learned by now.
It's a social post that he loves you, vote for him, and then he backs off. And what's interesting about all of this is that people in the White House, basically everybody but Donald Trump are worried, very worried publicly. Joe Gruthers, he is the Trump handpicked RNC chair. He predicted doom in December 12, 2025. This is what he said in the Bulwark. It's not a secret. There's no sugarcoating it. It's a pending, looming disaster heading our way. We are facing almost certain defeat. The chances of Republicans will go down and will go down hard. You hit the nail on the head. This is an absolute disaster. No matter what party is in power, they usually get crushed in the midterms. Now, Mr. Robinson, there's something called expectation setting in American politics, but this seems a little bit further than that.
That's really going far to sort of lower the expectations. Look, I think Stewart is absolutely right. It was astounding that 2 Democrats could be elected senator in Georgia, and there were these circumstances. The Republican Party was a mess. The Republican Party is still a mess at that level in terms of Trump and everybody else, and they have conflicting interests and push and pull. The other factor in Georgia is that the 2 Democratic senators, John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, are really good.
Very talented.
Really talented public officials and politicians. That speech that Ossoff gave that we showed the clip of was really a good speech.
Hassan just announced what? He won't be dual streaming on YouTube anymore if anybody cares. Bummer. Bummer. I think see, this is what I knew would happen. 5,000 people go from Twitch to YouTube. It makes your Twitch link seem like it's going down. And it's just like, that's what happens with Twitch. And when people ask me, Mike, would you multi-stream? And it's like, well, that's the problem. You split your audience, and the lower you are on the directory, the less viewers you get. That's just how it works.
Gotten better and better on this stuff.
Objectively, if you sort of listen to them, and it got a real response. They know their state and they're responding to it well. So yeah, Ossoff could get reelected, as Warnock did, by the way. Warnock got reelected.
That man ran many times in that to get the seat in Georgia.
Stewart, when I think about, I've been thinking that the 2026 election, midterm elections, there's so many parallels to the 2006 midterm elections. The narratives are basically the same. In 2006, I remember the narrative was Democrats are going to retake the House. The Senate is impossible because the map is really bad. As we got closer and closer to the midterm elections in 2006, the narrative started to change. They're like, yeah, Democrats are going to retake the House, but I don't know. They stand a chance of winning the Senate. And we're hearing that now in 2026. In fact, Democrats would need to pick up 4 seats to win the majority. And just given what this RNC guy had to say, they're seeing feeling the same thing. And I bring this up, and I went back and looked. In 2006, the terrain for Democrats was even tougher than it is now. And Democrats they had a net gain of 6. Is it impossible for Democrats to retake the Senate in 2026?
No, it's not impossible. And Jonathan, I was out there working for Republicans in 2006, so thanks very much for bringing back this PTSD experience.
Why the fuck are we this is what MSNBC is. Corporate centrist Democrats and a bunch of never Trump Republicans that have absolutely no juice with anybody. This is what the DNC wants in front of you. It's just so pathetic.
I'm here.
Mike, your mic is fucked. Is my microphone like, is it roboting? Oh, okay.
It's very similar. The real numbers to look at here are the independents. I mean, if I was working in these elections, I would take these MAGA voters and I would just throw them out of the poll, because all they do is they confuse you and pollute the sample, because there's nothing they can do that's going to change that. So look at independents. And we talk about how we need a third party in America. We really do have a third party, and they're called independents. So right now, Donald Trump is just getting killed with independents. And that is a huge, huge problem. And, one of the sort of subset stories that's going to develop, I think, in Georgia is Hispanic voters. Because it was Hispanic voters, when Georgia wins, or goes Democratic, Hispanic voters are voting Democratic in high numbers. And I don't think there's anything about, a bunch of masked men, heavily armed, chasing brown people around the country that is going to make Hispanics more want to vote Republican.
It's not just the audience split. There were moments where he backed out of content because he was afraid of copyright strikes. Yeah, that's the other thing. Oh, that's such a good point. Why are we letting people who look like this speak for us? I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. But there's very good news, everybody. Very fucking good news, which is people are fed up with fucking Trump. And the numbers are getting catastrophic. Like, honest to God, it's tempting. Like, I'm like, God damn. We got to prepare ourselves to run for office, huh?
In an interview this week, President Trump was challenged on his assertion that he was, quote, starting to get great polls on the economy. He then backtracked, saying the polling should be great. So what are the polls saying? CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton joining me now. Where do Americans think the economy is going right now?
Yeah, here is the reality check for everyone. And I would just say this is the problem for the president of the United States. You get elected to fix the economy, and the American people, they ain't buying it, because just take a look here. Say the economy is getting worse. Right after Donald Trump was elected back in 2024, re-elected, 42% of Americans said the economy is getting worse. Well, you want that number to go down. You want that number to go down if you're the president of the United States. Instead, it's going up. What are we talking about? Now, 55% of Americans say that the economy is getting worse. I don't know how you win when the majority of Americans say the economy is getting worse, because you go back through the record books, and that is a formula that equals failure.
And what do Americans want Trump to focus on?
By the way, the Republicans are fucking cooked. For some reason, Americans think Republicans are good on the economy, even though they never have been. Literally never have been. The only time where the economy seemed to get better under a Republican was in 1984. But other than 1984, Republicans have been dog shit with the economy my entire life, going back, honestly, to the 20s. For some reason, people go Republican, good with the economy. And it's just never true. There's always a major recession. There's always a fucking stock market crash. Happens every fucking time.
Yeah, this, I think, is the whole and caboodle, right? Much of the news stories over the month of January were focused in on Minneapolis, focusing in on controlling immigration and reducing crime. Those are two things that the President of the United States and his administration has been arguing about. But where do the American folks say that Trump should be focused? Say their top priority should be lowering prices, 54%, the clear majority. We have looked at poll after poll after poll after poll after poll. I'm exhausting myself just talking about it. And every single poll say that their top priority should be lowering prices or the economy. And it is still the case. Much
like they think that because Republicans more openly align with the wealthy elites and big business. No, I think it's as simple as Republicans say they're going to cut taxes, right? And it's like, when somebody cuts my taxes, I can see my, you know, my paycheck goes up $100 or whatever. I can buy more shit with $100. But fundamentally, it undermines all the things that make your income possible. You know, the schools are shittier. The type of employees that you have to find are of lower quality. Shittier employees, lower quality employees, more criminality, less infrastructure, you know, more money spent on dumb bullshit like health insurance means less compensation, more paperwork for you to do. Everything just gets slightly shittier in a whole bunch of ways that are hard to measure. And one of the things that's really frustrating for me, and in general, something that I would caution everybody, is good governance oftentimes becomes invisible. Shit just works and you take it for granted. It's like a child who, you know, eats a healthy home-cooked meal every day. They just come home, they enjoy that healthy home-cooked meal, and they just assume that that's how moms work. Every mom makes a beautiful home-cooked healthy meal for their child. And it's like, you lose track of how much effort is going into that. You lose track of how much knowledge and skill and money is invested to make that happen. And that's what happens with government. And then some charlatan comes in who serves the interests of the elite. It says, well, I'll just cut your taxes. Now he's overwhelmingly cutting taxes for the rich, but you're eating the seed corn. And let me tell you, when you're eating the seed corn, it's pretty fucking tasty. But when you have nothing to plant and your ass is starving in the winter, it's a lot more shitty. And it's a lot more expensive to go buy corn in December than it would have been to just keep your seed corn. And that is the reality of what's going on.
lower down, controlling immigration at 22%, even lower than that, reducing crime at 10%. You add together 22 and 10, you get to 32, and you don't have to be a mathematical genius to know that 54 is larger than 32. The Trump administration is putting their focus on the wrong issues, the issues that are not most important to the American public. And when you are focusing on the wrong issues, and the vast majority of Americans, or the clear majority of Americans, say that the economy is getting worse, again, this is X plus Y equals failure. Failure, failure, failure going into the midterm elections, because Donald Trump was elected to fix the economy, and it's still belief in the American people that lowering prices should be the top. And at this point, 55% say the economy is getting worse.
So I guess the question, as we get closer and closer to the midterms, which party do people trust, knowing how they feel about how Donald Trump has handled things when it comes to the economy?
Right, the economy, right? Affordability. You know, Donald Trump has been dismissing affordability concerns, but when 54% say the top priority should be lowering prices, not much of a surprise, right? Party trusted more in affordability. Overall, it's the Democrats by 14. Look at this. Among independents, I'm laughing. It's 39 points. It's a blowout. This is the entire ball game right here. And when you're having a 39-point lead among independents, a 14-point lead overall on affordability, and right now the top priority, the Americans say, should be lowering prices for the Trump administration. This is the type of formula that equals major success for the Democrats come the midterms, if it holds.
And we have seen that in the special...
Yes! Okay, chat. Oh my God, this is so fucking based. Remember when gaming and watching streams was an escape from real world issues, but now these lunatics want content creators to have stances on everything, and if it's not like the stance they're like the creator that they have been supporting for years, by the way, is instantly an evil Nazi. All right, right? So I saw this dumb fucking tweet from a moron, and I replied and I said, shut the fuck up about escapism. How about we try to build a world that you don't have to escape from? So tired of hearing from these arrested adolescents. You're 30 years old. You are an adult. Act like one. And by the way, I like video games. I like Dungeons and Dragons. Okay? I'm a fucking nerd just like everybody else. But you know what I don't do? Say, I just want to look at my Legos and not worry about politics. Shut the fuck up. So I posted this, right? And they replied, so, you know, some idiot replied, I think you yourself probably need an outlet if you're this angry. The shit's not normal. Get off social media, go touch grass. You'd be better for it. And I replied, imagine not being angry when our tax dollars are being stolen by pedophiles to fund the killing of 100,000 children. Millions of Americans living on the streets. Miss Apolitical Andy, Miss Escapism replies, your tax dollars are being stolen from illegals to build fake daycares in multiple states too, but I guess that's okay as long as it fits your agenda. You don't actually give a fuck about tax dollars, do you, dipshit? Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. 5 minutes. Caught. Every single time. I'm apolitical escapist to I'm a reactionary who bleeds MAGA bullshit every single time. What a fucking loser. Forcing people to parrot political takes they aren't familiar with has to be the dumbest trend. Oh, I don't want you to parrot it. I want you to say you support ICE. I don't know, chat. Let me just see here. Gaza, Israel. Okay, they say Israel sucks, Hassan sucks. Wait a minute. I thought they were apolitical. What happened? I thought they were an escapist. Oh. Hey, Asmongold, how does your dick taste? This guy was so happy birthday. Asmongold. Bald, maybe your hair will fall out to make Asmongold a toupee. Asmongold viewer in 2019. Hosting, by the way, this is this was actually a Nazi dog whistle. This is an old Nazi dog whistle. The Pepe clown. They used to say clown world. It was about basically dog whistling. People are like trans or whatever, and that means we're living in clown world. Very old Nazi dog whistle. Caught every time. Amazing. Oh, I want to go to their DeviantArt so bad. Holy shit, that's so funny. Sorry about that, chat. If you want to go and talk to that person, and hold on. If you want to talk to that person, I would encourage you to talk to them and possibly persuade them by using the tactics that we've talked about with right-wingers thus far in this stream. I'm so confused. It looks like she's an Asmund hater. She's not. She's an Asmund fan.
Elections, we'll see if that holds in the midterms.
We shall see, Sarah.
Harry Enton,
Wasn't she
thank you so
calling him Maldy and bald? No, she was replying to someone replying him. And she was saying how he's getting mad. So his hair is gonna fall out so he can give a toupee to Asmongold. That's not a hater.
Much appreciate you.
As the world turns.
The new poll from KFF shows healthcare tops the public's list of economic anxieties. People say they worry more about the cost of health insurance and prescription drugs than groceries or rent, utilities, and gas. My panel is back now. Elena?
Yeah, look, what I find so fascinating about this, and particularly when you reference that poll, is that in the broader spectrum of how the president looks at this, he is obsessed with wanting to put not only his imprint, but Republicans at large, some sort of imprint on healthcare. He hates that this is an issue that Democrats have owned and Republicans have failed out for so many years. He still, even in the recent months, has brought up the McCain downvote about, trying to repeal and replace Obamacare. So that's part of this. The other thing is obsessed with this idea of trying to make drugs more affordable. It is going to be interesting to see if this actually is the case, if these drugs do end up, as Tammy laid out, being more cost effective for a lot of consumers rather than their insurance. I think, the fact that he's calling it Trump RX, that's something else I've heard. If Republicans end up doing some broader health care plan, he wants to have it be Trump Care or something like that. But at the end of the day, this is something he wants Republicans to be talking about. Interesting enough, I know, Sabrina, you'll probably weigh in on this. Republicans, at least when it comes to politics in the midterms, do not want healthcare to be one of the things that is a central focus. So just keeping that in mind as we look at all of this.
Yeah, I mean, to Elena's point, I think what's interesting is, they want to show that they care about affordability. This is a really tangible way to do that, but we know that Democrats have consistently dominated on this issue. And for a lot of folks who last year lost the Obamacare subsidies and are actually feeling the impact of, higher premiums, it is interesting. It will be interesting to see how that plays out in the midterms. I think we talked a lot about it late last year as that expiration was coming around, but I think the repercussions of that and how Democrats capitalize on that is something we're going to be talking about in the months to come.
Yeah, I mean, Democrats won back the majority in the president's first term talking about health care, and they are determined to do the same now. Joining me now is the man who coined strong floor, no ceiling. It is, as you see there, the name of his book. Oliver Libby is a venture capitalist and Democratic donor and is here with me now. Thank you so much for being here. First of all, how did this slogan, the title of your book, make its way to Hakeem Jeffries?
It came to him through a number of people who heard that I was writing the book. I had shared a manuscript with a number of people I respect in the party, and actually he offered to write a testimonial, which you can find right at the beginning of the book. And when I first heard him say it on television, it was actually a surprise to me. I started writing the book, Dana, about 8 years ago, and it was really just a place for me to put all the ideas that I wished would be America, when we could relight the American dream, which is something I worry about all the time as one of our greatest national security threats. And so to hear Leader Jeffries take this up was an extraordinary moment.
So when people hear us saying strong floor, no ceiling, how do you explain it?
It's simple. And actually, one of my favorite things about this is when people see the book and they know it's about America and politics, they get it at their core. A strong floor is a floor made up of planks that we all know and understand. We want affordability. We want healthcare and education. We want housing and good paying jobs, safe and secure homes. Those are the things that are the building blocks of opportunity. But in America, it can't stop there. And I think every American wants to believe that if they work hard and play by the rules and pay their taxes, that they can have the good life. They can be in the middle class and maybe even go far beyond that. That's actually the way we increase the economic pie. And so it weaves in today to some of the core themes, affordability. But look, here's one important thing. I think if folks are not happy with the current leadership and the Trump administration, we have never had a seismic shift in American politics without a positive and hopeful message that says what we want for America, not what we don't want. Whether it was the contract with America or 6 for 06 or for the people, there was always something hopeful, something people could vote for, not just against. And I think we need that today.
Yeah, and so you're hoping that this book, which again isn't just the title, obviously, it lays out a prescription, a roadmap that you think on various issues dealing with affordability. We put this poll up in another segment earlier as it related to the president's.
Like, whenever we watch this shit, I've tried to watch the polling. I'm trying to listen to what Democrats are saying, and it's like, God, you have so much. I mean, these guys are so catastrophically out of touch. So catastrophically out of touch. It's crazy how insanely out of touch these guys are. Catastrophically and completely and totally out of touch.
New Trump RX website, but I want to show it to you as it relates to.
I mean, ladies and gentlemen, healthcare. Medicare for all is the only solution.
Your argument, you see there the affordability concerns. What people are the most worried about, healthcare is ahead of everything else, and those are also pretty high. But the fact that healthcare is so high, your proposal for a strong floor on health care initiatives is a universal single-payer health insurance.
Whoa!
Long-time goal with progressives, but it is definitely something that President Obama, when he did Obamacare, was pressured to do.
Right.
And
the centrists? See, chat, this is how it works. This is how it works. When they are scared, that's when the concessions come out.
He shied away from it.
Hey,
because
Grandmaster Casanova is back. 72 months. Welcome back, brother. Chat, I think Grandmaster Casanova has my most bits donated. Excuse me, at 100,000. Welcome back.
Support even among Democrats. And back then, I was covering it. There were 60 Senate Democrats.
You know, but I think, look, you heard the president today talk about the fact that healthcare is broken. We know that healthcare is broken. Everybody knows that healthcare is broken. So, sure, a single payer, a public option is really important, but actually the whole chapter is filled with ideas. There should be a tax credit for seeing your doctor every year, and that's something that we're using an incentive, an economic incentive, to help reduce the overall cost of healthcare, because a lot of people only get
preventative medicine.
Exactly, go to the hospital when you're really sick. But you know, I'm really glad you raised polling. We've actually been in battleground states, in Michigan and Georgia, and actually your viewers are the first to hear this. And we've asked folks, you know, we never did this during the writing of the book, but now that it's out there, we asked folks what they think about strong floor, no ceiling. And what's amazing to me is it's extremely popular, high 70s, 80s for moving voters. It's something that voters find inspiring. But what's interesting to me is both legs of strong floor and no ceiling polled in the high 90s in both states. And we're publishing this polling so you can see it. What that means to me is people understand, you know, whatever solutions haven't worked in the past, we have big problems here. People can't afford
free healthcare, free Palestine. 52% of people support Medicare for all. And this is an underestimate, by the way. This is an underestimate. Okay? And you know how I know that? Because the opposition to it is way too high among Republicans. So this is some sort of like Republican weighted poll. Every single person supports Medicare for all, according to education. The only group of people that don't support it are male Republican boomers who already have Medicaid. Excuse me, already have Medicare already. They have Medicare already. And they're greedy ladder pullers. Like every boomer ever, they don't want to give you what they have, what they were given. 6 in 10 Americans back Medicare for all, according to a Economist YouGov poll. Do you support or oppose Medicare for all? 59% support. Right there. As I said, with only 51% of self-described conservatives against it. 26% of self-described conservatives in favor of it. All right, chat. There is a new overzealots video on NATO that I wanted to watch. It's pretty based. You really don't despise NATO enough. I think that in this community, I want you all to be clear
Today's program
why
is brought to
NATO
you.
is garbage. Oh, chat, we're dangerously close to a hype train. We are 3 hours into the stream. If you enjoy this content, please consider supporting it by subscribing. Thank you.
By Ground News. Disclaimer. This video deals with sensitive and contentious topics and aims to challenge chauvinistic beliefs about NATO and the Western Bloc. Please don't assume that my criticisms of NATO are automatically endorsements of its geopolitical adversaries. Condemning and contextualizing NATO's wrongdoings is not the same as condoning abuses or aggression elsewhere. With that said, enjoy the video. Unless you've been living under a rock, you're probably aware of the recent annexation threats this man has been making against Greenland and Canada. You're probably also up to date on the speech given by the Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, about how the rules-based international order was an illusion from the jump, that certain countries were exempt from acting in accordance with international law and norms, and that our imperialist Western nations simply played along out of convenience. Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, Mark, but most of us with anti-imperialist proclivities have been saying this for eons. Obviously, the rules-based order was a load of shit. We've watched the nations of the imperial core systematically destabilize, underdevelop, bomb, and genocide those in the global south without a shred of consideration for the victims of this system. Carney's Canada, alongside the rest of the imperialist West, has said and done nothing about the dangers of empire until the empire turned on them, until it threatened Canadian sovereignty, Denmark's jurisdiction over Greenland, or the Western military alliance known as NATO. Now, I'm not here to cheer on imperialism against anyone. I'm Canadian. I obviously don't want an American annexation to take place, and I don't want to see the people of Greenland, who are predominantly indigenous and already navigating the political intricacies of their relationship with Denmark, handed over to yet another colonial force, the United States. With that said, I would be lying if I said I didn't fantasize about a reality without NATO. That would be amazing for the vast majority of humanity and terrible for a slim portion of elites and arms dealers. Of course, the way to achieve that reality is not by disrespecting the sovereignty of the people of Greenland or Canada. That would be insane. Instead, we need to start by educating people about the stain on humanity that is NATO and its many, many crimes. NATO is often framed in two very different ways. Its supporters insist that it's a necessary defensive alliance and it keeps the West safe and stable. Its critics, myself included, point out that it's a controversial organization that encourages its members to disregard their obligations under the UN Charter, specifically their obligations to refrain from the use or threat of force except in self-defense or if greenlit by the Security Council, their obligations to respect national sovereignty and to settle disputes peacefully. Us NATO haters typically go on to note how NATO has its fingerprints all over the destruction of Libya, the illegal bombing of Yugoslavia, and other destabilizing interventions. But to understand the full depth of NATO's depravity, we do have to start at its inception. In the aftermath of World War II, NATO was founded in 1949 by 12 countries. Belgium, Canada, Denmark, France, Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Officially, it was presented as a defensive alliance with three main purposes. First, to protect Western Europe from a potential Soviet invasion.
What the fuck? We had a hype train when I walked away. What the fuck? Thank you, everybody, for all the support.
Second, to keep internal nationalist movements, like the German one that had just ravaged the continent, in check. And third, to create a political and military dynamic where the Americans assumed a leadership role, or what was euphemistically referred to as a strong presence, in Europe. And that third point is the kicker. Despite NATO portraying itself as some purely defensive alliance between equals, it has far more to do with asserting US hegemony over Europe. It forces European countries into subordinate roles and ensures that no single European power can ever rise up and challenge American dominance on the global stage. That's a pretty good deal for the Yankees. And for the other European countries, they get not only a military, but political and economic alliance with the most powerful country.
I mean, and that's it. I mean, NATO is basically just American cuckolding of Europe. That's why left-wingers like myself are against it, because we don't want America to dominate Europe, and we don't like that alliance dominating the planet, because they serve the interests of the capitalist class. Now, when somebody like Donald Trump is against NATO, it's because he's dumb and greedy.
In the world. But the thing is, to justify this arrangement, you need fear. You need the existence of a permanent enemy. Today, that role is mostly filled by Russia, but back then, it was the USSR. A prominent myth at NATO's inception was that an attack by the evil, monstrous Soviet Union was imminent. Never mind the fact that the Soviets had just lost tens of millions of people and seen their infrastructure completely crippled while helping wipe out the majority of the Nazis. Never mind that they were in no position, militarily, economically, or politically, to start another massive war. The boogeyman still had to be built. As author and ex-member of the US State Department William Blum pointed out, this fear narrative wasn't even really believed internally by US officials at the time. Quote, "There are available, in fact, numerous internal documents from the State Department, the Defense Department, and the CIA from the post-war period, wherein one political analyst after another makes clear his serious skepticism of the Soviet threat, revealing the Russians' critical military weaknesses and or questioning their alleged aggressive intentions, while high officials, including the president, were publicly presenting a message explicitly the opposite." The Americans knew the Soviets weren't about to invade Europe, let alone the United States. Why the fuck would they? They had just survived the deadliest war in human history at an unimaginable cost. You really think they wanted another round? But by constructing this Soviet boogeyman anyway, the US was able to massively expand military budgets, enrich weapons manufacturers, and lock Europe into a dependency relationship that could be framed as defensive. And in case I'm giving you the impression that NATO was only good for the Americans, that would be incorrect. Although it is true that NATO is essentially just an arm of the US, I mean, even American presidents like Richard Nixon have admitted as much, the benefits allotted to other NATO members by virtue of being in the in-group, such as access to larger markets for their weapons manufacturers and camaraderie with the Western Bloc, are enough to make NATO membership worth seeking out. So although NATO is essentially just America's burner account, NATO members do get their perks.
Jake MT, thank you for the 5 tier 1s.
But crucially,
You're the
this
best.
exclusive alliance
One more 666, thank you for the 655 biddies.
only holds together if a permanent enemy can be sustained.
Hypothetically, if NATO represented socialist countries, would it be justified? The goal of socialism is internationalism. Namely, what we're trying to do is create a single world socialist planet, basically. So obviously, to go from socialism existing in some parts of the planet to socialism existing in all parts of the planet, it would be natural for socialist formations to ally with one another on the path toward that. Because unfortunately, we live in a world of material. We're not orbs. And so it's, socialist development is going to be uneven.
Offering the pretense for NATO's existence. And here's where the official narrative really starts to fall apart. If NATO genuinely existed to defend Europe from the Soviets, its largest expansion wouldn't have happened after the Soviet Union dissolved. Yet, in 1991, NATO had just 16 members. Today it has 32. It's also worth pointing out how absurd NATO's stated mission sounds when you consider the actual history of Europe. Up until NATO's creation in 1949, the biggest threat to Western European countries was other Western European countries. NATO presented itself as a defender of democracy and a rules-based order against Soviet aggression, yet the force that had just come closest to destroying the world was Germany. You'd think NATO would be more open to cooperation with the country that knocked the Nazis' teeth in, but that's not what happened. And the historical record proves that it didn't have to be that way. Before we go there, I want to take a minute to thank today's sponsor, Ground News. I use Ground News to get a grip on how a story is being covered across the political spectrum, who's amplifying it, who's downplaying it, and who's engaging in omission or outright apologia. Take this story about a judge ruling that Trump can't deport people for engaging in speech he dislikes, particularly speech in support of Palestine. There's virtually no coverage from the right, while left-of-center outlets are the ones mostly making noise. And even just looking at these headlines tells you a lot. Left-leaning outlets don't euphemize what's happening. They plainly say Trump can't deport people for political speech. Compare that to centrist coverage, where the charged language mysteriously disappears. Ground News also shows you who funds these outlets and how factual they are.
Fucking Ground News ads, dude.
What I'm about to tell you is a little-known fact that is seldom discussed, and for obvious reasons. It makes the West look really bad. But for those who may not know, the Soviets formally asked to join NATO in 1954. They wanted to cooperate with the West on security, but they were rejected on the grounds that they weren't democratic enough. Well, that excuse collapses instantly when you actually examine it a bit. Turkey and Greece, neither of which were democracies at the time, were allowed to join NATO in 1952. And at NATO's inception, many of its founding members still held colonies and were actively denying basic democratic rights to millions of people across the globe. France was engaging in settler colonialism in Algeria, Portugal had Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, Angola, and Timor-Leste, just to name some. Belgium had Congo. You mean to tell me that democracy was a genuine concern here? If you want further proof that NATO was never about defending democracy or opposing nationalist militarism,
obviously, they thank you guys for all the support. You guys are the best. Of course, they had all sorts of fascist governments in NATO, like literally dictatorships.
Its mission statement claims, look no further than Operation Gladio. In the wake of World War II, Western intelligence agents...
I mean, you did look at what they did in Greece. That's the first hint.
In coordination with literal Nazis, created stay-behind networks of fascist militias across Europe. These groups were supposedly meant to resist a potential Soviet invasion, but that doesn't change the fact that they were terror cells composed of former Nazis and extreme right-wing militants, organized with the help of the West and NATO. Author and former consultant to the FBI, Paul L. Williams, described them as clandestine guerrilla squads composed of Hitler youth and die-hard fascist fanatics. Unsurprisingly, these militias didn't end up defending democracy. Instead, they did as they were told and suppressed genuine democratic movements, targeted left-wing parties, and committed widespread human rights abuses. Who would have thunk
They
it?
literally shot people to death. It wasn't. When you say human rights abuses, you should be clear about it.
What this history shows is that the real threat in the eyes of Western nations was not a Soviet invasion, but rather the strength
Didn't
of
Dulles talk to the fascists? Yes. Before the
left-wing
war, yeah.
and
After
communist
FDR died.
parties operating legally within Western European democracies. So when the dreaded Soviet invasion never happened, these NATO-backed stay-behind fascist networks instead waged a secret war against domestic political opposition. Across multiple countries, they engaged in terrorism, assassinations, torture, and mass violence, then blamed those acts on the left in order to spread fear, discredit socialist movements, and manipulate elections. So no, the issue with the Soviets joining NATO had fuck all to do with democracy or human rights. Honestly, if NATO was genuinely concerned with securing European safety, wouldn't it be wise to include the Soviets and ensure that they remained allies instead of acting hostile against them? The Soviets were open to this. The West was not. The real problem with admitting the Soviets into NATO had to do with the fact that their membership would have undermined American leadership in Europe. If another superpower joined the alliance, the US would no longer be the unquestioned top dog. It would also eliminate the permanent enemy NATO relies on to justify its endless military spending, threatening the profits of the arms dealers that NATO makes obscenely rich. Therefore, the dynamic that NATO creates by virtue of its inherent exclusivity is one of hostility between the West and the West's ordained enemies. And the historical record proves that this is the chronological sequence of events. Almost immediately after being rejected by NATO, the Soviets formed the Warsaw Pact in 1955 as a direct response, escalating Cold War tensions that NATO itself helped create. And this pattern never changed. Russia has made overtures to join NATO in the decades since, only to be rejected while NATO expanded relentlessly right up to its borders. To really understand how dangerous this dynamic is, you have to talk about the infamous "not 1 inch eastward" promise. As Andrew Cockburn wrote in The Spoils of War, Secretary of State James Baker had unequivocally spelled out Washington's end of that bargain in a private conversation with Mikhail Gorbachev in February 1990, pledging that NATO forces would not move 1 inch to the east, provided that Soviets agreed to NATO membership for a unified Germany. While it is true that no formal treaty was signed, declassified documents compiled by the National Security Archive at George Washington University show that US, French, German, British, and Soviet officials all understood that NATO would not expand eastward. Western leaders gave that assurance repeatedly. Walking back that promise was so reckless that by 1997, 50 prominent US foreign policy experts warned President Clinton not to expand NATO eastward, stressing how disastrous it would be and explicitly noting that Russia posed no threat to its Western neighbors at the time. This is crucial to drive home. Even American foreign policy elites acknowledged that Russia wasn't a serious threat, but they also warned that NATO's expansion would create one. Despite all of this, Putin, who no apologies should be made for, still extended overtures.
Putin is our guy, though. Putin is our fucking guy.
In the early 2000s to join NATO and stop the unnecessary hostilities. He told BBC reporter David Frost that he didn't
What do
see.
you mean you don't agree with this? This is why you need to be watching this. This is factual. The United States of America should not be adopting the anti-Russian racist position of Lithuania or Estonia. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
NATO as an enemy, and he said, Russia is part of the European culture, and I cannot imagine my own country in isolation from Europe. Again, if NATO truly exists to defend against a Russian threat, what better way to neutralize that threat than to bring Russia into the alliance and cooperate on security? But of course, doing so would undermine US dominance in Europe because Russia probably wouldn't willingly subordinate itself to American leadership, and NATO would lose its ordained boogeyman, therefore losing the pretense needed to justify its military spending. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You cage a country by expanding a hostile and exclusionary military alliance around it. That country reacts. When it reacts, neighboring states feel threatened and rush to join the very alliance that provoked the reaction in the first place. and the data proves it. As Medea Benjamin and David Swanson note in their book about NATO, before Russia's invasion of Ukraine, public opinion was against Sweden joining NATO. The first poll to register majority support for NATO membership, 51%, came in March 2022, just after the Russian invasion. While public support for joining NATO in Finland has historically rested at 20 to 30%, that quickly jumped to 60% after Russia invaded Ukraine. Now, to be absolutely clear, none of this is meant to excuse or justify Putin's illegal invasion of Ukraine. If one of my many criticisms about NATO is that it violates the sovereignty of others, circumvents the Security Council, and disregards its obligations under the UN Charter, why would I defend Putin for doing the same? We can examine NATO's misconduct without stripping Putin of agency. At the end of the day, he is responsible for his decision to invade. No amount of context absolves him of violating Ukrainian sovereignty and killing countless people. With that being said, I'm also not here to regurgitate what every mainstream media outlet already says. Just go watch CNN if that's what you want to hear. The truth is, material realities led up to this tragedy, and discussing them shouldn't be taboo. It's also wrong to blame countries like Ukraine or Georgia for wanting to join NATO. Plenty of nations that were formerly under the Soviet umbrella were sold the idea that NATO membership would grant them prestige and legitimacy on the world stage. These countries are just acting in their own self-interest, as any state would. The problem isn't that they want what they perceive to be prestige and NATO protection. It's that an exclusionary, hostile, and unaccountable organization like NATO exists in the first place, exacerbating tensions instead of remedying them. So while it's undeniable that Western interventionism played a role in Ukraine, that does not excuse Russia's wholesale disregard for Ukrainian lives and sovereignty. Putin ultimately pulled the trigger, but NATO should also be held accountable for the decades it spent loading the gun. As you can probably tell by now, given how many times I've reiterated this point, NATO's #1 priority is to keep a boogeyman alive. That boogeyman forces NATO members to do two things. First, it keeps them politically aligned and locked together under US leadership. Second, it effectively compels them to allocate portions of their national budgets to military spending year after year. I hope it's obvious by now that NATO does not merely function as a supposed security provider for its members. Sure, that's a perk for some, but it's not NATO's raison d'etre. In practice, NATO operates as a massive, integrated market for the Western military-industrial complex. The expansion of the alliance directly serves the financial interests of Western weapons manufacturers by creating new markets and mandates for arms procurement. By constantly inviting more NATO members and partners, which are essentially a tier below full membership and exist all over the world, from Israel to Japan, NATO creates a massive playground for weapons manufacturers and defense contractors to get insanely rich. These partner states still buy a shit ton of Western weapons, even if they don't get a full plate at the table. This creates a political dynamic where powerful figures in the defense industry lobby Western governments to expand NATO, not for security reasons, but because expansion means more weapons sales. A perfect example of this comes in the form of the US Committee to Expand NATO. This was a nonprofit advocacy group established in 1996, founded and headed by Bruce Jackson, a former Reagan-era Pentagon official, and its purpose was fairly obvious. I mean, it was right in the name. It existed to try and expand NATO. Its founder, Bruce Jackson, also just so happened to be the vice president for strategy and planning at a little-known company called Lockheed Martin, the biggest weapons manufacturer in the world. Jackson went on to lobby the Clinton administration and the US Senate to push for the ascension of Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic into NATO. This was framed publicly as a moral imperative, bringing Eastern Europe back into the West after decades of Soviet domination, but the real reason was obvious. Once admitted, these former Warsaw Pact countries would be required to modernize their Soviet-era militaries, funneling billions of dollars directly into the hands of Western defense contractors like Jackson's employer. They were perfect new markets. And the proof is in the pudding. Shortly after Poland joined NATO, it signed a $3.5 billion deal to purchase 48 F-16 fighter jets from Lockheed Martin. And Bruce Jackson's beautiful
got a bonus for that one.
Legacy doesn't end there. If you can believe it, he went on to advocate for the super popular and definitely not illegal US war in Iraq. He even served as chairman of the Committee for the Liberation of Iraq. What an awesome guy. Oh, and Lockheed Martin is not the only company benefiting from NATO. Not even close. The alliance places heavy emphasis on interoperability, meaning NATO militaries operate under the same command structures and purchase compatible weapons systems. In practice, this means they rely on the same Western companies for purchasing, maintaining, upgrading, and repairing their arms and tech. This is how you end up in a situation where over 80% of NATO members and partners are customers of US weapons manufacturers. But American companies aren't the only ones cashing in. Even countries with reputations for being peaceful and neutral are playing the same game. As Benjamin and Swanson note, Sweden has, over the years, developed a strong weapons industry and has been a major exporter. Saab, the Swedish manufacturer of Gripen fighter jets, was ranked as having the 39th largest arms revenue in the world in 2022. Company CEO, Mikael Johansson, said publicly that joining NATO's inner circle would give the nation's arm industry access to greater markets. We have already started to see potential contracts coming in, he said, and we continue to work on other common acquisitions from the NATO perspective. So by now, it should be abundantly clear that NATO does not give a shit about protecting nations from Russian aggression or defending democracy. What it cares about is the money it generates for Western weapons manufacturers. This accusation is further corroborated by NATO's actions in Romania. In the 1990s, Romania was suffering immensely. Instead of prioritizing basic human needs, NATO members, along with their weapons sales handlers, took advantage of the country's desperation. Cockburn recounts. A 1997 World Bank report noted that the majority of the Romanian poor lived in traditional houses made of mud and straw, do not have access to piped water, and have no sewage facilities. Such dire conditions made little impression on visiting arms salesmen. Representatives of Bell Helicopter Textron persuaded the Romanian government in 1996 to agree to a
That's amazing. They got 96 Super Cobras to defend the Mud Hut.
$1.4 billion deal for 96 Super Cobra helicopters. Daniel Dăianu, Romania's finance minister at the time, explained that the country couldn't afford this. When he resisted the deal, the US applied pressure. As Dăianu puts it, Americans in Washington and Bucharest intimated to me with clarity that this was the way to get easier access into NATO. There's truly no better way to show how much you care about the well-being of your European neighbors than to manipulate them into buying your helicopters while they don't even have proper sewage systems. And this push for militarization is also paired with an enforced embrace of neoliberal economics and a rejection of anything resembling socialism. Benjamin and Swanson again. Privatizing the economy has been a key requisite for entering NATO. In a meeting in Poland in 1997, then-Senator Joe Biden, addressing Poland's interest in joining NATO, said that all NATO member states have free market economies, with the private sector playing the leading role. And he asserted that Poland's large state-owned enterprises should be placed into the hands of private owners. For Poland to be in the vanguard of Western economies in the 21st century, he insisted, businesses like banks, the energy sector, the state airline, the state copper producer, and the telecommunications monopoly will have to be privatized. So let's be excruciatingly clear. This isn't about anything other than affirming US global dominance and making the rich even richer. Any war that emerges from such a vulgar, exclusionary, and hostile alliance is ultimately good for NATO. It gives its members more of a reason to stay in and makes the arms dealers at NATO's helm unimaginably wealthy. It's funny, for all of NATO's criticisms and often outright slander of the Soviets, the Russians, and the Chinese over the years, NATO never seems to look inward or atone for the death and destruction it has caused. So let's get into that now. From being complicit in the horrors committed in Iraq and Afghanistan to illegally bombing and occupying what remained of Yugoslavia by circumventing UN authorization, while backing criminal separatist groups linked to drug smuggling and organ harvesting.
I mean, that's what we always support. Every American group is probably a drug smuggler.
NATO's atrocities are abundant. Over and over again, NATO inserts itself into regions under false pretenses, only to make matters exponentially worse. Even former NATO Secretary General Lord Carrington argued that NATO's actions in the former Yugoslavia exacerbated the ethnic cleansing it supposedly sought to prevent. Benjamin and Swanson have this to say on the matter. After the NATO intervention in Serbia and Kosovo, Serbs and other minorities became second-class citizens, clinging precariously to homes and communities where many of their families had lived for generations.
Here's what I'll say on this specific point. Obviously, Serbian nationalism and fascism was absolutely the aggressor in my judgment on this specific issue. However, that nationalism rose because of NATO's specific intervention to destroy Yugoslavian socialism. So it's like one of those things where I think he's putting the cart before the horse. That being said, if you want to watch the rest of this video, you can check it out here. I think we're good. This is what always happens. Whenever I watch a video that's like a half an hour, I get 20 minutes in and I'm just like, okay, we're dragging ass here. We're dragging fucking ass here. What are you showing me? Are you showing me like a really old TikTok? Cool link. Thanks, man. The level of content is boosted. Appreciate that. You need the 2x videos? Oh, definitely. Okay, moving on. Moving on to something a little bit more interesting. Sunday content, chat. Sunday content. Always my favorite thing. We had a special election. Tito L was not adopting a Yugoslavian nationalizing policy like the Italians and Germans did during their unification. What's this? Oh, yeah. I mean, you should definitely read Killing Hope. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Be careful posting PDFs of books in the chat. Just be careful about posting PDFs of books in the chat. You could get yourself in trouble. Mike, what video game or show has my interest in the moment? I was playing Space Warlord Baby Trading Simulator. And I gotta tell you something, chat. It was too easy.
We're back, y'all.
It was too easy. There's this consultant which can tell you what the average stock price is of the baby, and it trivializes the game for me. Because all you do is you buy the consultant that shows you the fucking average price of the stock, and then you buy what it's below that average price, and you can kind of make an on-the-fly like calculation. If the price is below the average price, it's like buy. And then in order for that average to actually happen, if the price spends a significant period of time below the average price, you know that it's going to be above the average price. So you can kind of roughly calculate what it's going to cap out at. You can't get a complete sense, but you get like a pretty good sense. And you can almost guarantee that you're 4 or 5xing your fucking thing. And it was so fucking easy. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I need to like not buy this consultant anymore because this one consultant makes it easy mode.
We're gonna make this one work.
I don't even need side bets to get the gold trophies. Chat, Vio has made me breakfast. What is it? Kielbasa and fried rice. Thank you, Vio. Thank you. I gotta be honest with you, chat. Why did he restart the campaign? Go to the fucking loan shark. What a coward's way out. I have not failed yet. Like I have not failed to reach at least bronze. Like I'm sorry. I tried it last night and I was like rushing.
Yes, I'd like to restart this campaign. Absolutely.
Any ideas on the new mayoral candidates running as DSA? Who are you talking about? That's like the least specific fucking question I've ever seen in my life. That is the least specific question I've ever seen in my fucking life. Did you see this? It's illogical. Just thought I'd inform you all who aren't in the Discord. Hassan is no longer going to be dual streaming. Don't want to be waiting for him to go live on YouTube for it to not happen. I could post a screenshot, copy, paste this message if you just thought it'd be weird posting Discord screenshots on here. With TLDR, he says there are limitations due to DMCA and the audience separation makes it lower concurrent viewership for both Twitch and YouTube. Therefore, limits his reach on both platforms. He'll be doing a speed round with DSA Slate today, joined by Noah Colwyn and Alex Press. Then later he'll be watching the TP USA halftime show with Felix and Pablo Torre. Wait, they're doing a TP USA halftime show?
This is quite the show that you guys have decided to put on. So what inspired Turning Point to create this?
Well, I mean, if you want to go back far enough, you know, we actually uncovered a tweet from Charlie in 2014. It had one single like. So if you think about, I mean, Charlie would tweet and get, 100,000 likes towards the end of his life, sometimes many more actually. But so he had one like 2014 and he was bemoaning the halftime show. And I think the tweet was something along the lines of, what, is clothing optional now for the halftime show? And it was just this repeat theme for Charlie. He would.
You gotta be fucking kidding me right now. God, he was always somebody tweeting for the boomers. 0 likes, by the way.
constantly weigh in on the halftime show and sometimes go viral. Sometimes it was positive. Sometimes the energy was not so positive back at him. And so, you know, when kind of some of the uproar happened based on the current pop superstar, you know, and people kind of, you know, not being super happy with it, we just decided, hey, there's very few organizations and groups that are positioned to kind of step into this space. I mean, Turning Point is really good at doing productions, really good at doing events, and Charlie loved playing in the cultural space, and so it was kind of like a natural fit in a weird way, and it kind of got memed into existence. You know, we were just kind of talking about it on our shows or in interviews, and kind of making a joke about it, trolling honestly. And then I started getting inquiries from press outlets, like legitimate press outlets, going, "Are you planning on doing a halftime show?" And
what the fuck channel is this? This is a local news channel? This looks like fucking, my God, dude. God damn, dude. That's dark.
This is quite.
That's fucking dark. Between Nexstar and Sinclair, Trump's allies will control local news across 458 stations, up to 200 of the 210 U.S. markets. I've been calling this for a long time. This is why your boomer parents have dumb fucking takes. They just repeat back what they've seen. Please watch some of this. Fired for criticizing Israel.
I shared in my private time on my private Instagram account a Human Rights Watch post in my stories in which Human Rights Watch was reporting starvation was being used as a tool of war. I was essentially asked to leave the building as though I was some criminal who had done something so egregious that I couldn't continue my stint on air, and I had to leave immediately.
How influential is the pro-Israel lobby in Australia compared to what we see here in the US?
Almost every major media outlet has had one of their senior, if not most of their senior editorial leaders go on Israel-funded junkets.
Has there been any accountability at ABC? Have heads rolled after they lost to?
Felt as though their takeaway was like, well, how could we have sacked her lawfully? People wanted me to step away from the microphone. The pro-Israel lobbyists did, and what they inadvertently did was hand me a larger microphone, and I intend to use it.
Far too often, we see big news organizations around the world bow to Israel's talking points and even bend the rules to make sure their narrative is the only one reported. But in a rare win for those with principles, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, ABC, could not get away with what many news organizations here in the US are getting away with, which is the silencing of the voice.
Shout out to Trump for enforcing immigration laws and not sneaking millions in to try to illegally win elections. The people that vote for Trump tend to have low IQ. That's just a fact. How do you feel about that fact? The dumber you are, the more likely you are to support Trump. What do you think about that?
Of their journalists. In December of 2023, ABC in Australia fired journalist Antoinette Lattouf in what a judge later described as an orchestrated campaign by pro-Israel lobbyists to have her taken off air. Lattouf was being targeted after an investigation she worked on revealed that video shared by the Australian Jewish Association from a pro-Palestine protest was doctored to depict protesters chanting anti-Semitic slurs. She went on to sue ABC for unlawful termination and won. Joining me now is the journalist, the plaintiff, and the co-founder of Et Media, Antoinette Lattouf. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Antoinette, let's go back to December 2023. Describe to us what happened, what unfolded the moment you were told you were being terminated. What was going on? What were you thinking?
So I was presenting ABC Sydney, which is a magazine-style radio program in the lead up to Christmas, and the content was super light. I was talking Michael Bublé playlists. I was talking about the first cat ever on board the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. It was really innocuous stuff, not political, and this sits outside of news and current affairs. So it's actually nothing that I did on air. It was that I shared in my private time on my private Instagram account a Human Rights Watch post in my stories in which Human Rights Watch was reporting starvation was being used as a tool of war. And I merely shared that in my stories along with the words HRW, reporting starvation as a tool of war. That was enough to get me called into my manager's office and within minutes asked to get my bags and leave the building with the claim that I had breached a directive, that I had breached the ABC social media policy, even though the public broadcaster had in fact reported on that same finding twice in 48 hours. And I was essentially asked to leave the building as though I was some criminal who had done something so egregious that I couldn't continue my stint on air and I had to leave immediately.
That Human Rights Watch tweet and report or post on Instagram, but wasn't there a campaign that preceded that?
Yes.
There was an investigation into you before that. What was that about?
Well, no, there were complaints. The moment I was on air, because I was a casual presenter, because I do a variety of different jobs
he has
here.
videos? Oh, shit. Hell yeah, chat. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, hell yeah. That's a lot of streams, man. A lot of streams. All right, hold on.
I want to make sure I don't drop it down. I kept it warm for me too. Yeah, oh, it's literally just sliding over. Oh, okay. That's why I wear layers. Thank you. And do you mind if my bag stays there?
Oh my God.
No. All right, cool. You want a drink?
Is he playing Yu-Gi-Oh? What's he playing here?
I owe you one. Give me a Yoo-hoo. Could you give me this one? Yeah. Whenever you get a chance. I completely forgot about it. I am the worst person to like keep asking for a person to keep track. I don't keep track of anything. That's why you need chat to keep track for you. Right?
One Piece TCG.
Make it
Did you watch One Piece? Did you actually comprehend One Piece? One Piece is like a leftist show. Like One Piece is actually a left-wing show. They would hate, like all the characters of One Piece would hate you, bro. What the fuck? Did you not comprehend the show? Are you a world government fan? What? Mike started watching One Piece? No, I will never watch that. But I could at least learn about it enough to talk about it. I think I saw some of the live action show. And I was like, is the live action show bad or good? I'll have to keep. I didn't hate it or anything. It was fine. Anyway, my point is like, honest to God, bro, what's wrong with your hand? You should get that checked out. The spider veins and things, it's kind of concerning. Get those checked out. All right, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, you're not allowed to criticize Israel. If you criticize Israel, you have guys like that come into your chat who love One Piece but didn't process any of the things that were being said. Isn't it funny how like Asmongold is such a fucking Zionist bootlicker and he tries to obscure it and the dumbest people you've ever met fall for it? That's crazy.
Australia, and I would routinely come into the public broadcaster and do various stints. And the minute I was on air, there was an orchestrated email campaign by two WhatsApp groups, that's at least that we know of, one called Lawyers for Israel, and another one called Jewish Creatives and Academics. The very fact that I was on air.
This is post October the 7th, 2023. They didn't like you being on air.
They didn't want me being on air.
Just for the sake of our viewers watching who don't know your background, what is your ethnic background, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so I'm Lebanese Australian. I was born in Australia and I'm part of quite a large Lebanese diaspora here in Australia. And in fact, in Australia, Arabic is the third most common language. Islam is the fastest growing religion. So we have a very large and robust community here. But
you being on air as a Lebanese Australian post October the 7th pissed some people off.
It pissed some people off. It pissed some people off because I had been critical. I dared use the words apartheid, genocide. I'd been critical of Israel's military campaign on my social media. And I had done for another outlet an investigation which debunked what was found to be doctored audio and vision of an opera house chant. And so people were not happy that I was near a microphone. And that was enough for the campaign to rattle my employers in what the federal court judge later.
Guys in his 30s playing with literal children, recording them, not super weird at all. Here's my thing. There's nothing wrong with playing a TCG, and you're gonna, if you play a card game or a video game, sometimes kids are gonna play the game. There's nothing wrong with playing with them, as long as that, you're a reasonable, responsible adult. That's fine. If I go kayaking, I'm probably gonna run across some kids that are kayaking. What you should do as a non-related adult is demonstrate good behavior and show them the right way to do things. Be a mentor. I think Americans are entirely too individual.
found was surrendering to pro-Israel lobbyists and absolutely, surrendering my employment rights by not giving me a right to reply and firing me for my political opinion, and that political opinion being opposing the military campaign in Gaza.
The judge in your case also described your termination to be part of a, quote, clear orchestrated campaign by pro-Israel lobbyists. The Sydney Morning Herald published a report last year detailing how a WhatsApp group, you just mentioned it, called Lawyers for Israel, had a direct line to the chair of ABC at the time and threatened legal action if you were not sacked by ABC. They even called your lawyer, Josh Bornstein, who is Jewish, a traitor. The names of these lawyers have been withheld from the public by a suppression order. Isn't that a bit weird? Isn't that a bit strange? Shouldn't Australians have the right to know if their lawyer is part of a group bullying major news organizations into carrying out unlawful acts? Liking this video? Then don't just watch. Hit like, share, and subscribe.
You know, the thing that really bothers me about all of this in general is we just have a society where you cannot expect even basic competence. People will dedicate their lives to Star Trek or One Piece or any sort of like revolutionary content, whether it's Star Wars and Andor. And it's just like it doesn't penetrate. And I kind of want to understand what it's like inside that kind of brain. It's not even media literacy. It's just like, I want to understand what you think you're seeing. You know what it's like, chat? You know how some dogs can look at a mirror and they can recognize themselves and go, oh, that's me. And some dogs can't. You know what I mean? Like some dogs look at a mirror and think that's another dog. And other dogs look at a mirror and go, oh, that's me. I feel like humanity has a lot of those divisions. Like their brains are just like not capable of really processing it. It's like too complicated. There's too many like moving parts, so they can't hold them all at once. Like the mental equivalent of not having two hands. They only have one hand. If you watched it, then you'd know he idolizes Garp the Fist, while the rest of us still like him but hate him for Ace. I have no idea what that means. I think those people are scared that if they related the media to the real world, they would have to deal with the fact that they are the bad/evil people IRL. Well, just simply stop being bad. Stop being evil. It's like Mike talking football without watching football. I've watched a lot of football in my life. So the fact that I'm off of watching sports lately just because it's not in my media. It's not in my media diet. I don't stumble across it anymore because it's not like I don't have like regular television anymore. So I just don't stumble across the game and go, oh yeah, I'm going to watch the game. You know what I mean? Which, by the way, chat, who are you rooting for in the Super Bowl? BadBunny, obviously. We can't wait to hear the BadBunny halftime show. I really don't like either team. There's just something about the Seahawks that rubbed me the wrong way. But I definitely hate the Pats. Fuck the Pats. So if I had to choose, I would probably go with the Hawks. But I wouldn't be happy about it. Mike, how do you feel about this report? If I'm being unironic, I think this should be illegal. I already know what this is. And I unironically, this should be illegal. Like, no cap. My friend is performing and she told me she's going to be incredibly political in a very direct way. She said BadBunny's goal was for the show to agitate people to act. Oh, shit. I hope he's ready. I hope he's ready for the backlash. This is the sport. It's on Kick, chat. This is literally just brain damage. There is no sport where you do this, by the way. Even in the worst contact sports, even if you're playing rugby, even if you're playing football, even if you're playing ice hockey, collisions like this are extremely rare. And in all of those, especially rugby. Rugby doesn't have as many of these kind of collisions. Football has more, hockey has more, but they wear armor because it's so bad for you. And it still doesn't work, by the way. You still get brain damage. So this is called the fencing response, in case you're wondering. This means you just got brain damage. Whenever you lose consciousness, you do you have the fencing response. So he lost consciousness there. That was brain damage. Like this sport, this is dumb as fuck, dude. It's actually just dumb. God, I hate these fucking losers, man. And you know, when you get brain damage, it makes you more violent as well. Better or worse than the slap competition? It's significantly worse than the slap competition, although the slap competition is not good. The Guardian, New Zealand teenager death tackle game. New Zealand teenager dies after tackle game linked to viral run it straight challenge. Well, like American football used to be like that. We're thinking about banning it because there were multiple casualties at a fucking Yale game. And Teddy Roosevelt came in and they regulated the sport and they added leather helmets and shit. They were going to ban football because it used to kill people a lot. Then they just changed it to like, you know, more brain damaging. At least in football, one is trying to get away while the other tries to tackle. In football, you don't usually have head-on collisions where you're both running at each other full speed from opposite vectors. Like typically in football, like you're running away and they're trying to catch up, or you're blocking and you're not coming from. It's rare where you're like sprinting and then deliver a hit, and it almost never happens where you're running and then you deliver a hit like that. And that's why they have like eliminated a lot of the instances in the game where you would have a running start to a head-on collision. Like they've changed the kickoff rules a number of times to avoid that. Mike, did you see this? We're out here at the Pro-Billionaires March. Defeat the wealth tax. These are the people who spend their time slandering me and Hassan a bunch. Somebody show me some video of this thing. Somebody show me video of this thing. This is the single best song I've ever heard.
Fascist, they swear it's true. They set fire to Minnesota. We smell the fumes. They say,
oh, we know that's not true. We know that's not true. Maybe this chapter doesn't have any like posts in it. Rick Caruso tells me he's reconsidering a run. The Republican? They're saying base to the Republican? Since 1988, polarization of the U.S. has been overwhelming. 1988? That's an interesting date to highlight. You mean where the parties were the most far right wing they've been? Why would you start with 1988?
Well, in San Francisco, a rally originally thought to be a joke took place as planned, but not without controversy and counter-protests. Today's March for Billionaires was in opposition to a proposed wealth tax, a one-time 5% data charge for California's wealthiest. That, in theory, would fill the gap where federal funding used. California is home to about 200 billionaires, with almost 2/3 of those living right here in the Bay Area. Opponents of the bill, like the protesters today, say this tax will spark a billionaire exodus and take jobs with them. Here's John.
California has more billionaires than any state in the union, and it is said to have the 5th largest economy in the entire world. People are living on sidewalks and eating in soup kitchens. So it's probably not surprising that this place would become ground zero when it comes to class warfare. The issue of income disparity is a serious one, but today's advertised March for Billionaires took a serious turn to the absurd. And organizer Derek Kaufman seemed to know it would happen.
So I sort of guessed it would be provocative. I also think that if it were not called what it was, then it would not have gotten the attention that it did.
The gathering at a park in the Fillmore district only drew a handful of supporters who seemed sincere in their opposition to California's proposed asset tax on billionaires, which they believe will drive wealth and innovation out of the state.
You know, I know a lot of people disagree with the framing of this, but I do really believe that that most billionaires have had a greatly positive influence on the economy.
These are exactly the here's what I would say, and I don't mean this to like sound over the top, but I do think this should be violently, not violently. What I mean violently, I mean strongly. Okay, not with violence. Okay, I mean strongly counter-protested. I don't think we should like yuck around with these kind of people. I think they should be outnumbered. I think they should feel like see how far outnumbered they are. And I think they should be, you know, and kind of go like, oh, vehemently is what I'm looking for. Thank you. Now, I don't want you to go and like punch that kid in the face as hard as you can. That would be fucking insane. Don't do that. I'm not saying that you should rip their posters out of their hands and, you know, like I'm not saying to do any of those things. That would be bad. What I mean is you just show up and everywhere they go, they're surrounded by 3 times as many counter protesters saying tax the rich, house the homeless, feed the poor, fix our roads and bridges, build high-speed rail. You know, I want these people to understand that not only are they not welcome, that their position is toxic. Like, you know, it's all cute to be like a Discord kitten incel who lives in upper class daddy's basement, posting about how your inheritance is actually meritocratic, which is about 90% of the people that post on the neoliberal subreddit. When you try to bring that shit out into the real world, marching past literally thousands of people living on the streets because of our system, then it's no longer funny.
A woman named Annie from Berkeley came up with the original idea.
I am a Christian. I swear on my God that I am being completely genuine here. We are being serious. We like billionaires. We want them to stay.
But the unusual notion of a march to support the wealthiest people in the world also drew a lot of media and some snarky opposition. People poured on the sarcasm as they discussed the plight of the downtrodden billionaires.
You know, you don't know when you look at somebody what their story is, what their inner struggle is. So you can't tell if somebody is carrying the weight of billions of dollars. It really is a heavy burden.
Roselle Swimmer spent yesterday creating a giant puppet of a chef wielding a butcher knife with the slogan, "Eat the rich."
I wanted to
That's actually a cleaver, not a butcher knife. Common misconception. You know, cleaver is for severing bones, right? That's for working the joints, severing bones so you can work the meat. Typically you don't butcher with the cleaver. The cleaver is for hacking, and you just like take the arm off, take the leg off. That's what the cleaver's for.
Absurdity with my absurdity to point out just how ridiculous they look by having a 10-foot puppet to chase them around.
With that, the march began, heading for City Hall. Along the way, it drew plenty of stares and a bit of outrage from small business owner John Quillinan, who supports the idea of a 5% tax on billionaires' wealth.
The fact that that is not acceptable to them makes me sick to my stomach. I would give up 5% of my net worth over 5 years to help my community. I own a small business. I'm not doing amazingly, and I would still do it to help people. What's wrong with you that you won't?
But Michelle and Jesse Foster were mostly confused when the procession passed them on the street corner.
At first we were horrified, and then I'm not sure if they're joking. They have to be joking.
It's a joke for sure. Cynical.
Has to be.
Yeah. You don't think this is real?
No.
Is it kind of hard to tell, though?
A little. It's a little scary these days. You can't trust anything, so... Anyway, I was on the phone with my daughter, and I'm like, I've got to hang up. I've got to go yell at these people.
Granny gets it. Granny fucking gets it.
When the group of supporters and detractors
By the way, literally 20 Discord incels wearing top hats and shit. Bring back organized labor with a truncheon. Bring back the Molly Maguires.
City Hall, they were still arguing, but it was still hard to know what to take seriously. That's the way politics is these days. So much of it seems like it can't possibly be real.
ICE agents now wearing disguises to try to evade citizen observers. Mike, what's going on with the LA mayor's race? I'm still trying to figure that out myself. Holy shit.
Bother American citizens. Look, you're gonna tell me this is what our taxpayer money goes to. Renting these vehicles, getting these fake ass tags to come and sit here and watch my business. Look at these fucking pieces of shit. This is what these pieces of shit are paid to do. This is what they get paid to fucking do. Bother us. Bother American citizens that have a fucking good running business, giving people jobs.
That third recommended video looks good. Dope. FD Signifier and Caroline Kwan. Yeah.
This is what they do. True. This is what they do. Don't hide your face. Don't hide your face. You're proud of your job. Show your fucking face. Show your face. Yeah, show your face. Don't be such a fucking pussy. Look, you're gonna tell me this is what our taxpayer money goes to. Renting these vehicles, getting these fake ass tags to come and sit here and watch my business. Look at these fucking pieces of shit. This is what these pieces of
scum. I think $1 billion in $100 bills weighs 2,500 pounds. The billionaire struggle is real. Legal observers in Minnesota say ICE agents are increasingly relying on disguises and ruses to evade the state's sprawling network of citizen observers. Hard hats and dummy plates. Reports of ICE ruses and add to fears in Minnesota. These motherfuckers are so scared. They're so fucking scared. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, how you effectively counter this shit. You effectively counter this shit by making them frightened. Not of violence, but of accountability. All right, chat.
There's more guns in the United States than any country in the world.
The Good Liars. They went to the SHOT Show. Let's check out their content. It's Sunday Fun Day.
Mass shootings here than any country in the world. Do you think there's a correlation there? No.
Nope.
Las Vegas, and behind us is the Venetian Hotel. And this week, it is host to the SHOT Show, a big invite-only pro-gun convention where about 60,000 people from all 50 states and 126 countries show up to check out new gear, party, and most importantly, quietly plan the future of gun politics. Hey, a couple guys in suits. What's happening at SHOT Show?
All sorts of things.
What actually happens inside of it?
I don't know.
Now, on the surface, it looks and feels like a giant product expo, but underneath, it's a closed-door strategy session for manufacturers, dealers, lobbyists, and lawyers, all comparing notes on how to grow their business in 2026.
What happens in the SHOT Show? You can't say? Now, when people think about gun lobbying, they usually think about the NRA. Are you familiar with the NRA?
Have I done a weekend there in Vegas
Do you know
yet?
what the NRA is?
Yes, of course.
Have you heard of the NRA before?
Yeah.
Have you heard of the NSSF?
What's that? No, I haven't. No.
Do you know what the NSSF is?
No.
The National Shooting Sports Foundation. They're the ones who put on the SHOT Show, and they have quietly overtaken the NRA as the biggest spender on gun lobbying here in the United States. So what is?
You know, before we get into this, did you see that clavicular or whatever? He agreed to do a like MMA fight with the leftist. He was like, any leftist, come try to fight me. Did you guys see that? And so a leftist took him up on it.
I told you some people are going to be on your ass, Clav.
What's my rate, clavicular? What's my rate? This is for all the bullshit that I gotta watch on my fucking feed. All the fucking time.
All right.
Guillotine choke.
Hey.
He could have killed him. He was taunting him with one arm. Oh. Oh, sorry, rear naked choke. Sorry, you're right.
I told you some people are going to be on your ass, Clav.
What's my rate, clavicular? What's my rate? This is for all the bullshit that I gotta watch.
Oh my god, dude. God damn, dude. He let him off way too easy because he was trying not to go to prison. So you can't, if you're in a sparring match, a physical sparring match in any kind of combat sport, if you establish something like, hey, if I tap out, that means you have to stop, and you don't stop, you've actually committed like a pretty serious felony. So you know, there's just no way around it. Like the moment, like if you have agreed upon like, hey, if we're fighting and then you tap out and then I keep fighting you, well, now it's a felony. So that's why he had to go easy on him.
All right.
Hutch is the biggest moron alive. Wait, he has another moronic take again? Another moronic take? The person who's best positioned to win in 2028 is Kamala.
Chat kind of gets pissed at me sometimes for saying it, but it's just the truth. Like when we look at the numbers, like the person right now who is best positioned to win in 2028 is Kamala. Like that's just what the numbers show. We're 3 years. We got 3 years, little under 3 years, and so there's just so much time for things to change. But like right now, there is a very non-zero chance that Kamala wins the nomination again. Well, I guess she didn't win it the first time. She wins the nomination.
She
in
was
2028.
appointed it. Yeah,
and then at that point, guys, like I like her odds against Vance. I don't know about you guys. I fucking like her odds against Vance. Are you kidding me?
Listen, it's very easy to just laugh at Hutch and call him a fucking moron and you know, dunk on him and just be like, oh, this guy's an idiot. This guy's a fucking moron. What a dipshit. What a professionally wrong idiot. Like, that's very easy to do. I mean, he just said he'd vote for Epstein. He also said he'd vote for segregationist Democrats. He said that if somebody came out arguing in favor of segregation, but they put a D next to their name, he'd vote in favor of it. So let's leave that aside, right? And he says that today. Like, if today somebody was a segregationist, he would vote for that. Let's leave all that aside, because it's obviously stupid. But I want to explain to you why it's stupid for a second. Kamala Harris has name recognition. And the way campaigns work is that name recognition years before the election oftentimes can represent soft support. We've seen this many, many times over many elections. Now, I don't think you've paid attention to many presidential elections. Kamala Harris's support is paper thin. And until we actually have official launched campaigns and people are campaigning on issues and on ideas, and social media is going crazy, we're not going to be able to tell who's popular or not. But I can tell you this right now. I've seen a Kamala Harris campaign before in 2020. It was a complete and utter flop. She was such a poor manager. She ran out of money, even though she was continually pushed as the front runner by the Democratic Party establishment. And she ate fucking shit. And she had to drop out before Iowa. She would not have won an open primary in 2024. If she had had to run against a bunch of other candidates, she would not have been nominated. That's just the reality. Touch to the limits of Hassan bad liberalism. Oh God, it's so long ago though. This is a long video about FDR football reform, and you were talking about only the first 15 minutes. And I don't think Hutch deserves this amount of attention, to be honest with you. Like, if you just go to Hutch's account, I mean, like, let's just be honest here. Hutch is unbelievably cucked. China maxing. Like, he's just trying to steal other people's fucking thumbnails. My fellow libs have gone insane. And Vosh gives up. Like, he's such a pathetic fucking slop tuber loser. Hassan might be shocking his dog. I do think Hassan should sue Hutch for defamation. Every single one of his posts are just about other influencers. What a fucking loser he is. What a fucking loser this guy is. Getting fucking 5,000 views with 830K subscribers is fucking crazy, dude. You are a fucking loser. Holy shit, that's embarrassing. All right, back to SHOT Show.
The SHOT Show for people who aren't familiar with it.
Oh, gee whiz. It's an NRA on steroids. It's much bigger.
You'd want people to know that the SHOT Show is the NRA on steroids?
That's what it is.
And as a gun shop owner, are there specific events that lead to spikes in gun sales?
Specific events as of...
like if there's a presidential election coming up or a mass shooting or something like that?
Well, sometimes that can affect it, yes, yeah.
Which one affects it more?
Well, a lot of different things can affect it. Gun laws, which are enacted by the state or whatever.
The average person, the responsible citizen attending, are they allowed to bring a gun into the show?
I would not think so.
After a mass shooting, have you noticed people talk about there being a spike in gun sales?
You know, I've seen that before, but not in the last few years.
Okay.
Obviously,
just
Sandy Hook was probably the biggest one. But after that, not so much.
Really? Well, I guess because after Sandy Hook, weren't like a new gun law wasn't passed after that, nope. And it kind of seemed like kids were shot. And
how come the NRA lost so much motion? There was a lot of corruption and there was like scandals, and they don't really like. They kind of won. You know what I mean? Like the NRA kind of accomplished their goals. Like they didn't need to care anymore. You know what I mean? Like they won, and there really isn't any resistance. Mike, why is it the SRA gaining traction? Because lefties think of guns as a tool. Republicans worship guns because they're fear-based. If you are a high anxiety, high fear person like the average, you cling to guns as like a psychological palliative. Whereas on the left, we think of guns as like having a drill, right? Like how many Milwaukee drills do I need? At most, I get one, you know, and I stick it in the fucking container and wait till I need to use it. Maybe I even like doing wood crafting projects, but I'm not certainly sitting there obsessing over it, stroking it, fantasizing with it. So that's kind of the main difference. And so conservatives spend a lot more money on it. So therefore, they're more important to like focus on. Let me tell you, lefties are going to learn to love guns over the next year.
They didn't pass a law. They're not going to pass a law for another one, right?
They haven't, no.
Yeah.
And so what is going to be done about gun violence in America?
Oh, Jack, I don't have that video anymore. You'd have to go look at the VODs and figure it out.
I don't think anything would be.
Well, why not?
It's not that violent.
America's not that violent?
No.
SHOT Show trivia. How many people died last year of gun violence? 38,676.
The SHOT Show raises millions of dollars. We expect to hear a lot of messaging inside about gun safety, which feels a little bit strange because guns are responsible for almost 40,000 deaths a year.
I just thought you were going to say because guns kill people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're inside the Venetian right now. A lot of cool casino games here, a lot of slot machines. Now we're going to make our way to the convention center, try and get into the SHOT Show, see what's going on the inside of the SHOT Show. Let's go. Hey, sharp dressed guy, how's the SHOT Show this year?
Good.
What happens in the SHOT Show?
Industry meetings.
And what part of the industry are you?
I work for a manufacturer.
So we're inside the SHOT Show now, and one thing we've noticed after going...
New York Times report on increasing gun ownership in Minnesota. Meet Minnesota's newest gun owners.
How much have you shot before?
Okay, we got to work on that. We got to work on that grouping, man. We got to work on that grouping. That means the fundamentals are off. Okay, we got our fundamentals off. All right, that's why we're there. That's why we're practicing.
Just like 22 rifles in Boy Scouts.
Here in Minnesota, people who've never considered owning a gun are now learning how to use one, as immigration operations and protests have upended daily life. In the weeks since federal agents arrived here,
piercing
and
girly.
after the fatal shootings of Renee
Nose
Good
piercing
and
girly.
Alex Preddy, firearm permit applications have surged. Data obtained by the New York Times shows a sharp increase in permits to carry across Minneapolis and surrounding counties compared with the same time last year.
You show me your two-hand position. Good.
Alex von Bradenfels calls himself a, quote, nerdy software engineer.
Got to write up his
and says that
nostril
he's
there.
not the kind of person you'd expect to see showing up at a gun range.
I would never have seen myself getting a gun if not for, the government coming here and seeing them violate people's rights incredibly violently. The first time that I went to a protest, a federal agent pointed a gun at me for filming him. I was always in support of gun control. Recent events here, killing of Alex Preddy, definitely changed that for me.
All right, so AR-15. Magazine will go in right there, and this is your charging handle.
Not everyone buying
Okay, bench rest. Okay, here. You want to have, if you're using, I don't know what kind of sights he's using, but I mean, could be worse. He was directly above the 9, so he's dead center. Oh, he's center, but he's high.
Gun wants to defend themselves.
So typically when that happens, that means you're not using the iron sights correctly. You're supposed to cover the target. You're supposed to line them up, cover the target.
Federal agents. Some, like Aaron Giddens, feel the need to arm themselves because anti-ICE protests.
I have no fear of ICE being here. It's the
I mean, this right here.
effects of ICE.
Because anti-ICE protests.
I have no fear.
I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I think literally anyone could pick this gun up and use it very effectively. Put the red dot over the thing you want to blow up.
Of ICE being here. It's the
This is a 9mm.
effects of ICE being here and all the protesting.
I guess it could be a 38, but I think that's the 9mm, right? This is interesting because SIGs don't usually have safeties, mechanical safeties, external mechanical safety. So is that a SIG? I think it's a SIG, right? But it's got a modification. That's cool.
To a protest.
It could be a 38.
I mean, why do you feel like you need to carry there, right? Instead of spending all that time and energy, why are you not instead like trying to help these illegal immigrants become legal immigrants?
That's a BB gun.
Does it matter which one I put in?
Brittany Cedeno is visiting the range today to train with her husband, who's a seasoned gun owner. So talk to me about like where you stand politically and your journey into firearms.
I'm liberal, progressive, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there are people who legitimately need, protecting.
Brittany worries that Kevin.
Oh boy. We're not firm enough, Kind of sitting there, you want to push out. You want to push out a little bit more than that. It depends on whether you're doing a Weaver or an isosceles. Okay? Now, personally, I learned the Weaver because I'm old, and it just feels more athletic to me.
Citizen faces new risks every time he decides to carry a gun.
Everyone is a gun
openly
expert
in
today.
public.
I've been shooting since 1996. Actually, yeah, 1996. So I think maybe.
Every single time that I have to leave, get groceries or whatever it may be, I'm having to make decisions such as like, do I carry, do I not carry?
Doesn't mean he's good at it. Very true. I'm not. I'm competent. I need to practice more.
Is this a life or death, decision?
You're a minority. It does paint a target on you.
Isosceles is simple. Yeah. Anything that's symmetrical is simple. We should definitely learn that way. I think that's the way people learn these days. I mean, the thing is, like, shooting at a target is different than shooting at someone else who's shooting back, right? Like, that's another thing. Like, when you're shooting against someone who's shooting back, you need to learn to work around cover, which is a little bit of a different skill than putting holes in paper.
Even though I didn't want to, I was like, I'm going to learn so that if I absolutely have to, I can exercise, like my Second Amendment right to protect yourself with a weapon.
BadBunny Gaming says you must learn the 4 core tenets: sight picture, steady position, breathing, and trigger pull. So true. Smooth trigger pull is huge. That's where people have the most trouble. You have everything correct, but the way you pull the trigger fucks it all up.
Everything that's been happening recently.
New meat canyon about ice? Holy shit, this is cool. Holy fuck. This looks so fucking cool. This is why streaming on Sunday is fun. We get some fun videos in there. All right, we'll do this next. Let's finish this.
Added together to drain our savings to buy this gun and to buy like one of those. And I kind of hate the fact that things are changing so quickly and everything is so uncertain.
I have no illusions that I'm gonna defend myself with a gun from the state, but I want to be able to defend my community through collective deterrence.
Based! Based king!
If enough people in this community are arming themselves, and DHS and ICE know that, then I'm hoping that it'll make them think twice about their own illegal violence, essentially.
Of course, every single time. What have you guys not seen? What if there's any chance a cop might get shot, they run away. I actually think that America, I've talked about revolutionary violence and what war really looks like. But as far as like tactically, I don't think there's a country in the world that's more vulnerable to a determined insurgent guerrilla resistance. If you had a few squads of guys that just planned for hit and run tactics, they had smooth fucking methods of evasion, they would never get caught. They would never get caught because the cops would run and hide and button up, and you'd take your pot shots and then you'd run away, you'd escape, and the cops would be sitting there hiding. And that's just the reality. Like, I'm not advocating for it, of course. I'm just saying that police in America like to be the bully. Anytime there's any gunfire going in their direction, they hide. And we've seen it many, many times. Like, there was those 2 bank robbers in LA. 2 bank robbers in LA. They like walked around. The North Hollywood shootout. They just walked around.
Good evening. It was a scene.
All right, we're not going to watch that yet, but...
When did they allow so many Japanese people in this convention? I mean, how many of these parasites even bought a ticket to get in here? Bunch of leeches. We're gonna need to do a ticket check down here. Oh, slippery fingers.
Now, I'm not scared or anything, but I heard if a Japanese person sees your face, they'll take your soul.
I can't shake the feeling that I'm gonna get raped and eaten by these things I don't understand.
Couldn't have said it better myself. You're smart as hell, Cletus.
Wait! Look over there! Oh my God! Oh, darn it, just got this thing, my bad. Okay, here we go. Freeze! Drop those weapons! Let us see those hands!
I can't! They're a part of my costume!
Show me your convention ticket!
It's on my phone! I can't grab it with my prop hands!
He's gonna rape me!
What? No!
Show me those hands!
Okay,
Let me see those hands!
Okay. Identify yourself, demon.
I'm Dingy from Chainsaw Man. I'm Dingy the Chainsaw Man.
Cletus, frisk him. Get his ID. I'm gonna go get his identification. Josh Allen. Josh Allen from Texas.
Josh Allen. That don't sound like no Dingy from Chainsaw Man to me.
It's my costume. I'm just playing a...
Shut him up, Cletus! I'm gonna put a bullet in his hand.
What? What are you doing? Do you want me to get down?
Here, you
okay,
get
I'll
down.
Get down.
You get
okay,
on
I'm going.
ground.
I'm going.
Don't think about slipping a pinky in me. My holes are off limits, demon.
Oh my God. Yeah, so I found a couple of these guys' tweets, and I just think, is there really a loss? I mean, look at this. Come on. What kind of person would say something like that? This convention gets worse every year.
If you don't like it, you can leave! Look, fellas, people are filming us. We're gonna be heroes.
I'm gonna be famous for being a hero. They're gonna put me on the TV.
Thank you for keeping us safe, brave heroes. Let's give them a round of applause, guys.
If anyone's gonna be the famous hero, it should be me. I love this convention more than any of you guys.
Like hell, you're just here 'cause of the bonus. You're as big a parasite as any of them are. I should be the hero.
Oh yeah? You're a big fat pussy, hiding that pussy face behind that mask of yours. I'm legally retarded, and I don't know who to kill anymore. Cletus, you can't say that. Oh, fuck you. I have not gone woke. You guys are getting in my head. How do I know you ain't one of them? Damn it, Cletus. Don't you point that gun at me.
What is going on? For the love of God, I'm just a cosplayer.
I'm fighting for this convention. Admit it. You're gonna rape me. Admit it. Oh, you son of a bitch. I'll get shot to death. Oh, God, I'm dead.
Now we can have the round of applause, chat. Now we can have the round of applause for the cinema.
Oh, God, she's right. This convention's gone down the shitter. There's nothing left to live for.
This is what I've been asking. You have all these weeaboos, but one of the deepest elements of Japanese culture that goes back for millennia is the idea that if you shame your family sufficiently enough, that you will commit the ancient and venerable practice of seppuku or harikari. Why aren't there more weebs following in all of the traditions of Japan? Why are they only following the tradition of being a pedophile? That's a question I have for a lot of these people.
Jiwa! Jiwa! Hey! Let me see your convention ticket.
Can we just all sit up and salute Meat Canyon? What a fucking king. Dude. What an absolute king. Yo, get in there and like, comment, and subscribe. What the fuck are you doing? I thought he was retiring. Like, wasn't he retiring? And now he's putting out even more bangers? Mike, can you share the link, please? I just shared it like 15 times, but there's another time. He wasn't posting about it on his channel because he was too busy cooking. Holy fuck, is this good? What a talent. What a talent. And if you know anything about the North Hollywood shootout, two guys had AKs and some pretty standard body armor, and they just walked around.
Larry is carrying almost 20 kilograms of gear, including homemade bulletproof protection, which covers him from head to toe. Emil, more lightly equipped, takes only a metal ballistic plate to protect his vital organs. Sometime earlier, they had swallowed tranquilizers to reduce the stress of going into action. 9/11
Data blockers. That's a hack. That's an actual hack. What the fuck? I didn't know about that.
a.m. The duo gradually approached their target, a Bank of America branch in North Hollywood. The car parks, but surprisingly, the robbers position it facing the wall. A curious strategy, given that parking in reverse would have enabled them to escape more quickly. No matter, the robbery is about to begin. Larry and Emil put on their hoods and sunglasses. Larry does a quick check on the police scanner, which he illegally
you could probably just like leave the car running, you know?
possesses, and then it's off. It's 9:17 a.m. when the two men exit the vehicle, one after the other. Their watches are set to 8 minutes, the time they estimate before the police intervene. They head for the bank entrance. Their bodybuilder stature combined with the heavy equipment they're wearing make them look like two intimidating monsters about to terrify the world.
Okay, motherfucker, let's go.
The robbery begins when Larry orders one of the bank's customers to enter the establishment. Two policemen standing near the bank witness the surreal scene.
Oh my, they walked in front of a cop? Oh.
We have a possible 211 in progress at the Bank of America. Bank of America. Located north of Kendrick. We have shots fired.
The robbery had barely begun, but the alert had already been given. Unaware of this, Larry and Emil carry on with their robbery.
This is a fucking holdup.
Then, putting their money where their mouths are, the two of them strafe the ceiling of the bank. The 30 or so employees and customers present at the Bank of America that morning are terrified. It doesn't take long for LAPD patrol cars to arrive at the scene of the crime. Inside the bank, Larry ensures that all the hostages remain motionless. 30 men, women, and children lie on the floor, terrified by the criminal who roams the room, threatening to kill anyone who dares challenge his authority. Meanwhile, Emil is busy collecting the money.
I don't think it's AI voiceover, is it?
He then hits a 79-year-old.
Oh, I guess it's from a year ago. I guess it could be.
Lady who doesn't obey quickly enough with a backhand to the head, then fires a dozen shots at the security door of the ticket office. The door blown open, Emil then heads into the private part of the bank, where the vault and other employees are located.
Get the money, or we will kill you.
Among the employees is the bank's deputy manager, who holds the keys to the vault. Seeing the robber's determination, he gives him access without resisting. This doesn't stop Emil from whacking him over the head with a rifle butt. Once inside the vault, Emil gets more and more upset. The deputy manager unlocks secure boxes containing only small bundles. The bandit's big black bag isn't filling up fast enough for his liking. They had planned on a haul of $750,000, and all they get back is barely half of that, just over $300,000. Emil stares angrily at his hostage and repeatedly asks him to take out more money. Alas, that's all the bank had at the time. An ominous silence falls. Suddenly, the disgruntled robber fires his assault rifle into the ceiling of the vault.
Everybody stay down. Rapid automatic fire. They're padding the area with fire.
For his part, Larry continued to watch the hostages, moving from one side of the bank.
Okay, so the robbery isn't the important part. What's important is when they walk out.
Is clearly not enough. It's inevitable. Future chaos. Larry Phillips is the first to emerge from the building. He points his assault rifle at the police vehicles and opens fire.
Question help at the bank. Stay down. The suspects are shooting AK-47.
America, stay down. Automatic fire.
The deafening sound of the bullets echoed throughout the neighborhood. Police officers and civilians dived to the ground in order to avoid the piercing bullets from the automatic
AKs
rifles.
Are there in the U.S.? 100,000, at least.
The cars they were hiding behind were pierced like paper, some bullets even flying out the other side of the bodywork. More than 200 rounds were fired by Larry. He then retreated into the bank. The first hail of bullets had already wounded several people, including 2 civilians. Then, at 9:30 a.m., Larry reappeared, this time accompanied by Emil, who is carrying the bag of money. The bursts of gunfire resume, but more.
300,000 is not a lot of money, man. Like, for this level of violence, dude. Even then, 300,000 is a thin robbery, dude.
Tensely. John Caparelli, a police officer present that day, remembers.
A single fully automatic AK-47 makes a whole lot of noise, but when Matasariano joined his cohort in the lobby, the sound of two became the stuff of nightmares. It was the Devil's Symphony, and something that stayed with me even to this day.
The hail of bullets hit many police officers, including one who was shot in the thigh, shattering.
So the only reason I bring up the North Hollywood shootout is to say these guys were not very competent, and they fucked everything up. But even a modicum of preparation, they had the LAPD just locked down, and it was 2 fucking guys, and they were not very good at this. Like, if you have a real resistance group, like, that's the thing about violence. Violence is one of those things that most of the time, what prevents violence from occurring is not because people are deterred from committing violence. They self-deter. And what's happening and what worries me in this country is, like, when you see guys like this running around committing violence against the law, eventually people are going to cross that Rubicon. And when they cross that Rubicon, look how unathletic these guys are. Jesus Christ.
Come on, try again. Climb over. Climb over, baby.
Climb over.
Hey, arrest her. I see it. Look you. Hey, arrest her. Get the
Lost to a low fence. A pair of ICE agents failed to scale a 3-foot tall fence.
Yeah, right. We're on arm. We're man. Hurry up.
We're scary, I get it. No, I'd be scared too. Scared of fucking.
Yeah, right.
Fuck you.
Did you see the one where they slip and fall on the gun discharges? What? No. So right here, this is a felony assault. So they're on the sidewalk, right? They're on the sidewalk. He just runs up and sprays her with a chemical agent. Felony assault. Guys, we got one of the protest signs for that billionaire march. I wonder how much you could get away with just dressed as an ICE agent. I mean, if you want to talk, I mean, they're not really wearing any equipment that's hard to get. You could just pretend to be an ICE agent. The problem is the community might jump you. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Is if you don't want the community to think that you're actually an ICE agent, that's where you're likely to get fucked up, you know? But yes, if you dress as an ICE agent, you certainly could disrupt that situation pretty badly. That's why there's no real insurgency in America. But if there was, like, shit would fall apart very rapidly and very quickly. All right, back to the SHOT Show.
A lot of NRA conventions is that everyone there is kind of dressed in like camo and hats, and you see a lot of that here. But also you see like guys like this guy right here. He's dressed in suits.
Way worse picture.
Deals, a little bit more buttoned up than at an NRA.
Hey, chat. Pro billionaire march. We love you, Jeffrey. This is 100,000% Hutch. If I had to bet money on whether or not this guy watches Destiny, I would put 10 grand down on it. I would put 10 grand down on this being a Destiny fan. Unironically. Person in the back is Elia. Oh, God. Ew. God, she may be one of the grossest people on the planet. I am not a Puritan, but Elia, or whatever her fucking name is, actually makes me want to be.
Convention.
If you've never been to SHOT Show, you don't know what you're missing. It is industry related, so not just any regular old Joe can walk in there. But if you, like yesterday, I went to the governor's forum, and I heard from 7 different governors that were speaking, red state governors that were speaking on where we are as a nation.
There's like state leaders, there's governors there talking, trying to influence law and that sort of thing.
Well, absolutely. It's not influencing law so much, it's protecting the laws that are already in play.
We are here at the SHOT Show, and something super cool, I mean, if you love guns, is that you can win a gun with your coffee, I guess.
So here at the SHOT Show, there is something called Shot After Dark. That's the name of it, Shot After Dark. It's all the events that are taking place, the nightlife of SHOT Show. But Shot After Dark is kind of a weird name. It sounds like you're getting shot after dark. NSSF, they actually do a lot of lobbying on behalf of the gun industry. Is that true?
Oh, yeah.
When people think about gun lobbying, they think about Wayne LaPierre and the NRA, but what they should be thinking about is this, the NSSF and a guy named Joseph Bartozzi. They're responsible for more gun lobbying than the NRA is now. They're trying to make it easier for more Americans to get more guns.
What's one surprising fact about guns?
They're totally safe.
Okay, I got one too. The majority of Americans want stricter gun laws.
That's a bunch of bullshit.
6 in 10 U.S. adults favor stricter gun laws. Because it doesn't matter what the majority of people want. Because we have an undemocratic system. If America got the public policy that the people want, it would be utopic. Or a fuck lot better than it is now, that's for sure. Epstein Survivor's Super Bowl ad? $3 million files have not been released.
After years of being kept apart, we're standing together.
Standing together.
Because this girl deserves the truth.
Because she deserves the truth.
Because we all deserve the truth.
Damn. What are ads going for in the Super Bowl this year? Does anybody know?
There's another sign here for a SHOT Show giveaway. Let's see what they're giving away this time. Oh, it's a gun.
So here's a booth for Sig Sauer. This is one of the biggest gun makers in the United States of America. Their guns have actually been used in a lot of the mass shootings that have happened over the last 10 years here in the United States of America. I don't see any mention of that here with the products they're selling. They spend a lot of money lobbying, protecting their profits, especially after these mass shootings when there's an uproar over gun safety and potentially passing laws that would hurt their sales. They go on the offensive and spend money to try and make sure that these laws aren't passed.
They make the most money that they spend this year, the NSSF, on lobbying, and they make it here at this show. They spend it throughout the year to lobby in Washington, D.C.
I have no idea.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you attend the SHOT Show, you might not know that behind the scenes, there's a lot of lobbying going on. And those are laws to make sure gun manufacturers make tons of money.
It says, did you know your attendance at the SHOT Show directly supports the mission of NSSF, your industry's trade association, from advocating on behalf of the industry in Washington, D.C. and in state capitals nationwide to providing compliance education, industry research, firearm safety programs, and helping grow participation in hunting and the shooting sports. NSSF's strengths and successes on behalf of the industry are fueled by you and your business. And they're saying that because this show brings in about 75% of the money that the NSSF brings in a year. So this is where the lobbying money comes from.
In the defense industry.
Oh, okay. What do you do?
Weapons, ammunition.
Weapons, ammunition?
Yes.
Is this a big show for protecting the sales of guns in the United States of America?
We don't really sell in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have just partners that we meet here.
Oh, okay. Where do you sell?
I cannot really tell you, but it's not in the U.S.
Okay. Can you give me a hint?
What the fuck does that mean? Oh, Israel! He's selling in Gaza!
Africa, Europe. Yeah.
Okay. Who are you selling to in Africa and Europe?
I cannot tell you.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Well, that was interesting, to say the least.
We found another giveaway. Let's see what they're giving away here at the SHOT Show. Oh, it's looks like it's 2 guns.
There's also a suppressor.
How was the SHOT Show? Where are you guys in from?
Austria.
Germany. Well, what are the gun laws like in Germany?
Gun laws very bad.
They're bad in Germany?
Yeah. Most laws, and I think the political guys want anti-weaponized our civilization. Yeah.
Are there a lot of mass shootings in Germany? No.
No.
Okay. Okay.
Bye.
All right.
One thing we've heard from a lot of people is you might want to carry a gun, but you never want to have to use it. Anyway, here's a sign that says gear for your daily gunfight.
Does anybody have that link to that pro Jeffrey Epstein sign?
With a picture of a gun.
But buying a gun is a lot to do with kind of a personal thing too. I mean, you have to.
Is it emotional? Is it an emotional thing?
Well, I wouldn't say it's so more emotional. It's more personal.
Again.
People like to get something that fits their hand well, so they can actually operate well. Some people can operate revolvers better than semi-autos, so that would be the better gun for them, especially women.
You put it in your hand, you kind of know when it touches your hand.
Guns are like a pair of shoes. I mean, you can't wear the same shoes maybe that he wears because you got bigger feet than him. So.
Well, they don't. Shoes don't fire bullets and kill people.
Yeah.
There's a difference, I guess.
Well, you want something that fits your hand. Yeah. So
like a glove with bullets, kind of.
What's that?
It's like a glove with bullets.
Yeah.
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 How do you think we can keep Americans safer from gun violence?
Everyone carry a gun.
Just more guns, arm more people?
Yeah.
This is the U.S. CCA, United States Concealed Carry Association. And they have a sign up here that says save lives, and I guess it'll save lives if more people are carrying guns.
We have the most guns out of any country in the world, but we also have the most mass shootings. Do you think those things are correlated?
Not at all.
So I just heard a couple guys in church talking about a big sale they made here. It's all about sales and profit. It's something you don't really think about with the gun industry, the way it's framed. It's more framed like, oh, this is your right. You need to have a gun. That's the reason we're fighting for gun rights. But really, it's all about profit. We keep hearing that over and over again. Just profit, profit, profit. It's all money.
Oh, look, an auction. Let's see what they're auctioning. It's a gun.
I've loved them for a long, long time. We need more good liars energy in our country. More confrontational leftism. Make sure you go like their shit, subscribe. They're cool as fuck. And yeah, that's gonna be it for me today. I'd love to stay on. I just don't have anything more to say. I'm also sick. I'm sick as fuck. So thank you everybody for being here. Oh, here's all my links. And make sure you go check out my new YouTube video on the Chinese Navy, the new Chinese Navy video over on the Central Committee Mike from PA YouTube channel. Go over there, check out them all. Help the channel continue to grow. Con Crud from Anime Convention. No, I didn't go to an anime convention. I don't know what I got it from, to be honest with you. All right, everybody. I'm gonna send you guys, gals, non-binary pals over to VO's channel. VO is doing Goth Sundays. Goth Sundays. So if that sounds like something you want to see, go check it out. VO has a question she has about bangs. You got to help me figure out if bangs are the right way. All right, everybody, stay safe. Solidarity forever. We'll be here tomorrow, same time, nice, bright and early at the Central_Committee stream. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you all